What's up? Waiting to go live. There we go. We're on Instagram live. This is going to be posted to YouTube as well later on today. Let's wait for everybody to come in. Grand Rising. What's up, everybody? I was just getting everything set up in the backyard. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's really nice out here in California. And I wanted to go ahead and do the live from the backyard instead of from inside the house. Happy full moon, everybody. We're going to be talking about today's full moon in Capricorn. Really excited to tap in with you all. This full moon is my lunar return. I have a moon in Capricorn, so I'm really excited to tap in today. Let me kind of get things going a little bit. Let me pull up the chart. How's everybody feeling? How's everybody? I've been sleeping really well. I've been having a lot of dreams. But how's everybody been feeling? Well, I'm just getting some things going. Okay. Also, who is coming on Saturday to hang out with me and the girlies and the boys? I don't know if there's gonna be men there, but this Saturday, Stillcraft Bellflower over here in Los Angeles, California. The city is Bellflower. The name of the location is Stillcraft. From 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. We are having a meetup. A SoulSage meetup. I'm gonna be meeting. We're gonna have a gathering of SoulSage community members, and we're gonna be hanging out, eating food. The location is amazing. There's a lot of different food options. Parking is free. There's a whole bunch of parking. If you want to bring somebody, bring a friend, bring your mama, bring your daddy, bring your kids, bring whoever you want to bring. There's enough seating for everybody. It's gonna be a good time. This Saturday, July 12th, a few days from now. Your grandma's turning 100? Definitely full moon and Capricorn vibes. So Capricorn, right? Let me look up last minute. Oh my gosh, would you fly out here just to hang out? Oh my god, that'll be so cool if you do decide to do that, Anthony. Will Gilbert be there? Yes. I'll bring Gilbert for a little while, and then I'll have my mom come and pick him up. Gilbert will be there. So Capricorn rules time. So it's interesting that your grandma's turning 100 because Capricorn rules the elderly, those that are older, our later part of life. He turned 37 today. Oh my gosh, happy birthday on a full moon. I love that. When it comes to the art of solar returns, when you have a full moon on your birthday, it's going to be a very prominent year. It's going to be very important because the moon has a lot of light. And having a full moon on your Capricorn Cancer axis, you want to take a look at those two houses. Because those two houses are going to be very prominent and very illuminated. Obviously, your sun is always in the same house in your solar return. Well, in your solar return natal, right? If you're not looking at the solar return by itself, the sun is always in the same house. But what you want to do is look at your solar return chart, independent of your natal chart. You want to take a look at the houses that the sun and the moon are in, okay? Because that's going to be a very important part of your life this upcoming year for your solar return. And you can always, book a year ahead reading, and I could talk to you more about that. Okay? All right. So we have the full moon in Capricorn today. It's at a Virgo degree. It's at 18 degrees. It's at 4:35 p.m. Eastern time. Today, July 10th. Okay, of 2025. Um, it's at 4:35 p.m. Eastern time and 1:35 p.m. Pacific time. All right. And Capricorn, let's talk about the sign of Capricorn. What is Capricorn about? Capricorn is about discipline. Capricorn is about structure. Capricorn is kind of like our karma, the burdens that we carry. Capricorn is also kind of like connected to our mission. We're here to serve society, this deeper sense of kind of like obligation that we have, like to find to be meaningful to society, right? To improve society in some type of way. I think Capricorn gets a pretty bad rap as a sign because it is ruled by Saturn. So just like Aries, Scorpio, and Aquarius, sometimes Capricorn can be more, we talk about more of the negative qualities of Capricorn instead of the positive qualities, where Capricorn has a lot to do with ambition, right? If you think about the animal that rules the sign of Capricorn, it's the goat. So it's like trying to be the best, the greatest of all time, trying to get to the top. Capricorn also does have a perfectionistic tendency, just like Virgo does. I think Capricorn and Virgo, amongst the earth signs, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo, I think Capricorn and Virgo have the most in common, because they want to work hard, right? They want to perfect things. They want to be the best at things. I think what's also really interesting about Capricorn, what's different about Virgo, is Capricorn is wants to become the leader, wants to become a boss. Capricorn is about being an authority figure, right? Being the best in your field in some type of way, where people look up to you, out of respect for your craft, for your work, for your wisdom, for your knowledge, right? Another beautiful thing about the sign of Capricorn is it's about the wisdom that you accumulate over time that creates knowledge, or that creates that, like, where you refine a talent, or where you become the best at something, or where you become a shaker in a certain field, right? So what you'll see with a lot of people that have a Saturn influence in their chart, or they have Capricorn in their chart, um they get better over time, right? Like, they get better at as a tattoo artist, they get better as an astrologer, they get better as a writer. Like, when they commit to a craft and they put all their energy and their intention, and they're consistent with the craft, they will perfect it, or they will become the best at it over time. And this is something that we just want to collectively think about with the full moon in Capricorn, is kind of like, what are you refining? What are you building towards, right? If you have a talent, if you have a craft, if you are, you're pursuing a certain career field, how are you making yourself more valuable? How are you becoming the best at that thing, right? How are you kind of like refining yourself so that you could be a shaker and a maker? When it comes a shaker, and you could be a name maker, you could be an influencer, you could be someone that is reputable, or that is well respected in your field, right? And that's one of the things that we think about with the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn has a lot to do with our career, right? And I really want us to detach that word career from our kind of like traditional understanding of it, or from our kind of capitalistic understanding of career, because I think of career as more of like a mission. A lot of people just they connect career to a job. Oh, what do you do for your career? Oh, I work for blah 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 blah. But your career is not that. Okay, I really want us, for this full moon in Capricorn, to go a little bit deeper when we're conceptualizing this idea of career, because I think, your career, even the pinnacle of your career, can be an album that you release. It can be a piece of art that you make. It's something that you're renowned for, or renowned for, right? Someone said life's work. I love that. Yeah, it's your life's work. It's, what is meaningful to you. And I think what's so interesting about Saturn going into Aries, ruling over this full moon in Capricorn, I really do feel one of the big shifts and changes that we are going to start to see. It's going to be an ongoing thing, but I think it's happening now for a lot of people, is like their career is changing. Like what they conceptualize as work, what they have worked in before, the kind of path that they have had or have outlined for themselves is shifting and changing in some type of way. And I really do feel that this full moon in Capricorn is going to kind of inspire people, is going to motivate people to really take a look at what is more meaningful in their life in terms of the work that they're doing, or how they're showing up in the world, or even like how in some ways they need to shift and create something new or go in a new direction when it comes to career in some type of way. And I think we've been feeling this, since 6 months ago when we had our new moon in Capricorn. I believe it was on, don't quote me on this, but I think it was like January 10th or something. New moon in Capricorn. Because the new moon in Capricorn, let me take a look. Hold on. New moon in Capricorn. The new moon in Capricorn that was 6 months ago. Where is it at? Maybe it was in 2024. Oh, it was, yeah. It was December 30th of 2024. That's why I wasn't showing up. December 30th, right? The new moon that we had 6 months ago is culminating into the full moon that we're having today, right? So I want you to kind of think about, with your Capricorn house, or if you have a lot of Capricorn placements, or if you have a lot of cardinal placements, what has shifted and changed from the new moon that we had on December 30th of 2024 to the full moon that we're having today, right? And what's so interesting about the shift and the change is the fact that Saturn, right? He ruled over the new moon that we had on December 30th of 2024, and he was in Pisces at the time, but now he's in Aries. Now he's in a new sign, right? And he's going retrograde at the end of, I think, in a few days. Let me pull up the chart actually so I could see it. So I think this full moon in Capricorn, there's certain things that are ending karmically that we have to like wrap up, that we have to honor, that we have to, bury, that we have to pay respects to, because this new moon is showing us that there's a need to shift or change or go in new directions that are it's kind of like out of our control in some type of way. These are things that are beyond us in some type of way. Let me take a look. Hold on. Yeah, we have Saturn at 1 degree, right? In Aries, and Saturn is going retrograde. I believe I said Sunday. I read someone wrote, like, I don't know why. I was online and someone said that Saturn would go retrograde on the 11th, but no, that's not true. Saturn's actually going retrograde on the 13th. Change your local time zone. Hold on, let me get the full moon pulled up let me get the chart pulled up. I don't even have the chart pulled up. This morning I was figuring out like all the connectors. I have 3 extension cords going to the inside of the house so that my laptop could get juice. Because that's why I showed up a little bit late. I was like, I need to get, because my laptop's like always almost dead. So I was like, I need to get, let's see, I need to make sure my laptop has juice for the full moon live. And so that's what I was doing. I was getting extension cords coming outside. All right. Bird chart for this moment. Let me pull up the chart. Welcome everybody coming in. We're talking about the full moon in Capricorn today. Okay. .35 p.m. Let me pull up the chart. 1:35. There we go. What is going on here? I have the date wrong. Okay, there we go. All right. Sun opposite moon. All right, perfect. 18 degrees. There we go. Okay. So let's keep going. So what was I saying? I was talking about the full moon, this full moon kind of wrapping up or completing things, but it's also, I don't know. It's kind of giving, like, with Saturn at 1 degree and Saturn about to go retrograde during this full moon in Capricorn that's being ruled by Saturn. I feel like we are being brought back to things of the past, and I feel like we're having to release things or let things go or accept that certain things are like karmically ending or karmically completing in some type of way. Okay. Someone said they just reapplied to go back to school today to finish their B in the fall. Yeah, there's definitely this need. This full moon is kind of giving. I like that you said that because it is kind of giving. We need to go backwards before we can go forwards, or we need to like release some things, or cut some things off, or wrap some things up, or let some things kind of finish or complete that are unresolved. Okay, in the past or back there before we can progress and like move forward. Okay. Um, and that's kind of being, it's being reflected by the fact that this full moon in Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, who's in the fourth house away from it. Okay. So this full moon is going to have kind of like fourth house themes. The fourth house is one of the houses of endings as well, but it's about home, it's about family, it's about ancestry, it's about the past, right? It's really interesting because the full moon, if you put the full moon on the rising, what you get is you get Saturn in the fourth in Aries, right? And Saturn's about to go retrograde and he's going to do his last dip into Pisces, right? Um, during, like, for this retrograde before he permanently goes into Aries next year, or not permanently, but before he stays in Aries for the next 2 years starting next year, right? So I feel like in some ways this full moon, there is this energy of going backwards, going back in time, things resurfacing from the past, things being dredged up from the past. And this full moon may feel very emotional. It may be about ancestry. It may be about your mother's lineage. It may be about, what you've done in the past, or some unfinished business from the past, or things that you've, like I was saying, okay, what I meant to say was with what you've done in the past, how that is no longer working in some type of way, and how there needs to be a releasing or purging or karmic clearing of the way we've been going about things, because it's no longer serving us or it's no longer working in some type of way. Okay. So I do think this is going to be a very nervous full moon. The fact that it's at a Virgo degree. Welcome everybody coming in. I think this full moon is going to be very nervous, very anxious, very we're going to feel very panicky. Okay. And I'm getting that from the fact that the full moon is at a Virgo degree. So our nervous system is very illuminated. I think that this full moon being at, a Virgo degree also speaks to some kind of releasing or clearing out of habits and behaviors, or some kind of change with habits and behaviors. And I love the combination of a Capricorn full moon at a Virgo degree, because Capricorn gives us what? The discipline, gives us the structure, gives us the routine. It gives us the ability to kind of like focus, right? And to ground ourselves and to come up with a plan. And I think this is a beautiful full moon for kind of like restructuring things or pivoting things in some type of way to where you can be more consistent with yourself. You can actually commit to the plan. Also, Capricorn is a sign that is about sacrifice, okay, for the things that we want in the long term, right? It's like if you want, for instance, if I'm just going to use this as an example. If you want to lose weight, you need to discipline yourself and you need to abstain from fatty foods. You need to abstain from sugar. You need to abstain from this. You need to go to the gym, wake up, go to the gym every day, right? And Capricorn is one of those, it teaches us, like, if you want things, if you want good outcomes, or even if you want something, you got to kind of build towards it. You got to work for it. You got to sacrifice for it. And you got to kind of withhold yourself from things. Abstinence is such a Capricornian word. Abstaining. No, I'm not gonna do this. I'm not gonna do that, right? No alcohol, no drugs, no partying, I'm not gonna spend the money. Like Capricorn is a no energy. No, you know, pushing things away, rejection, denial. These are Capricorn things, right? I don't know if anybody knows anybody with Capricorn placements, but they're gonna give you a no before they give you a yes. Okay, that's Capricorn. But the beauty of that is this ability, right? This ability to have healthy boundaries with things that are unhealthy for you in the outside world, telling, even this could be about relationships. This can be about partnerships. This can be about your job. You need to tell your boss no sometimes. Otherwise, they're going to work you to death, right? You need to tell your partner, no, I need alone time. No, I can't do this for you. No, I can't help you out, right? In order to create healthy boundaries. And that's what this full moon wants to remind us. Like, we need boundaries with the self and we need boundaries with others. One of the things that I've noticed about people that lack healthy boundaries with other people, they don't have healthy boundaries with themselves. Like, they don't have healthy boundaries with food. They don't have healthy boundaries with money. They don't have healthy boundaries with work. Like, what you'll see is that when we lack boundaries, right? Containment and that protective field that boundaries create from the self, or even that protective separation, that sense of separation between this is me and that is you, this is mine and this is yours, right? What we get is a lot of blurriness, a lot of confusion, a lot of, okay, getting taken advantage of, getting used, overspending, over drink. It's like we gotta know our limitations. We gotta know what the boundaries are between ourselves and other people. We gotta know what our energetic capacity is to hold responsibility for others, or to do work for others, or to carry other people's burdens. Like, this is one of the things that you'll see with Capricorn. Love caring, love being responsible for things. They love being responsible for things that have nothing to do with them. Taking on responsibility for their kids, taking on responsibility for their boss, taking on responsibility for their strangers, taking on responsibility at work for people where other people are giving them work and they're just doing it, right? And I truly believe this has a lot to do with this Saturnian Capricornian thing where we feel valued, or we feel appreciated, or we feel useful by carrying other people's burdens, by doing more than what we should be doing, by, overperforming, overdoing, overexerting, right? Like, baby, that's not cute. Okay, get it together. Like, and so I think this full moon in Capricorn is here to remind us that, you know, we have to know what our limitations are. We can't derive value from overperforming or from being useful to others and things like this. This is so important, because otherwise, right, what we get and what we're experiencing intrinsically is this energy of lack, right? I'm not good enough. I'm not, I'm not loved enough. I got to be the best employee in order to feel worthy or feel valued. Like, and this is one of the things that you'll see with Capricorn energy. People that have a lot of Capricorn placements, or people that have Saturn very prominently in their chart. You have Saturn on the rising, Saturn on the moon, Saturn on the sun. It's like there's this feeling of needing to overdo, overperform, to follow the rules, and to be the good boy or be the good girl, okay? To get the approval, to get the validation, in order to feel loved, in order to feel respected, in order to be honored, in order for people to receive them, right? And a lot of people that do have heavy Saturn energy in their chart, heavy Capricorn energy in their chart, right? They only got love, or they only got respect, or they only got admiration or celebration when they were performing, when they were the best, when they were following the rules, when they were, their parents' employee, or when they were their parents, like, little super child, the golden child thing, and things like that, right? So I think this full moon in Capricorn wants to come in to check us and be like, listen, are you overperforming, right? Are you moving it throughout the world in a way where your the way people expect you to perform, the way people expect you to do, that's what makes you feel valuable? or that's what makes you feel loved and things like this, right? Like, are you doing all these things, bending yourself into the shape of a pretzel, burning yourself out in order to feel like you're a valuable person, in order to receive love? And this can be in your relationships, this can be with jobs, this can be with family members, right? So many of us do this, so many of us. And this is a Saturn thing. It's a Capricornian thing, right? And this full moon is here to remind us that you don't have to do, you don't have to perform. You don't have to overextend yourself. You don't have to carry everyone else's burdens in order to feel valued, in order to be appreciated, in order to feel like you're worth it or you're worthy in some type of way. We got to release that. We got to let that go, because what happens is over time, we will get burnt out. We will get exhausted and we get jaded. And this is another thing that a lot of people with Saturn energy or with Capricorn energy in their chart, they end up getting jaded. They end up getting resentful because they're doing everything for everyone else and no one is doing anything for them. They're checking in with everyone else and nobody checks in with them, right? Because Capricorn also has this energy of being self-reliant, being responsible. I don't need anybody else. I could do this all myself. Okay. And what we see, and we see this with the cardinal signs too. We see this with the Aquarius, Aries, and Scorpio people as well. The Saturn Mars people, they're used to doing things alone. They're used to being independent. And it's interesting because it's kind of like a catch-22, or it's like a double-edged sword, because the independence that they get gives them freedom, and they're like, oh, I don't have to rely on anybody, right? Like I could do this all myself. And they're like, and they're all strong and they're all capable and they're all self-reliant, right? But then they go home at the end of the night and they're in bed alone and they're like, oh, I really wish I had somebody. I really wish someone would call me and check in on me. I really wish I didn't have to do this all by myself, And so I think what's important, because with the full moon in Capricorn, right? The moon is in Capricorn, but where's the sun? The sun's in Cancer. The sun's in Cancer. We need our family. We need our friends. We need our community. We need the people that fill us up with joy, that see us, that emotionally support us, that we could cry on, right? The full moon, that tension between the moon in Capricorn and the sun in Cancer, is kind of like, you do need community. You do need that sense of family. You need that emotional foundation of others. And I think it's a delicate balance between being independent, being personally responsible, okay, being reliable, right, being good on your own, but also kind of needing sun in Cancer, opposing the moon in Capricorn, right, which is a full moon, sun opposite the moon. We need family, we need community, we need connection, we need those people that emotionally see us and emotionally fulfill us, right? We still need that. That needs to be a part of our foundation. And I think we can do too much of either side, right? And I see this so much with people that actually have Capricorn Cancer oppositions in their chart. Whether it be they have the nodes there, whether they have any kind of planetary oppositions in their chart between Capricorn and Cancer, like they're always trying to find this balance between like family and the people that they're trying to nurture and the people that they care for and the things that are emotionally important to them, and like their career and responsibility and being independent and being reliable and like, being someone prominent in society. And it's so interesting because those things, they oppose each other. It's kind of like you think, oh yeah, I want to go out in the world and be successful, right? But then guess what? You're leaving your kids at home, right? Your relationship, your marriage is suffering. Like your kids haven't seen you in 2 months, 3 months. Where are you at? Oh, you've been touring the world. Oh, that's great. Look at, you're out in the world, right? You're like being successful, you're being prominent, you're making a name for yourself. But guess what? You haven't seen your kids in 3 months. You know what I mean? Oh, you haven't seen your husband or your wife in like forever. like they're suffering. So there's like this delicate balance that we need to have between our Capricorn and our Cancer houses, between the energy of Capricorn and the obligations or the responsibilities of Capricorn, and then the Sun in Cancer, right? Or our Cancer house, right? Or what Cancer is about, which is family, home, the things that emotionally fill us up. And another thing I want you to remember, okay? Sun and Cancer. The Cancer is the things that bring you joy. Just like our Leo house, just like the sun. The sun and the moon are the things that bring us joy. In Vedic astrology, the quality of your moon speaks to how happy and fulfilled you are in life. Regardless of what you're doing with work and what you're doing with career, the quality of your moon, the experience of your moon is what makes you feel content, where you can sleep easily and peacefully at night, which makes you feel joyful, makes you feel like, like loved and nurtured and cared for and supported. And there's like this warmth that we get with the moon, with Cancer, right? Where we don't get that with Capricorn. And I think what's so interesting is like many people, they strive for Capricornian things only to be met with unfulfillment once they get to the end of the road. Like they become the CEO, they become the boss, they become the best, they become a millionaire, they become a billionaire, and something is still missing. Something is still missing. They're still feeling unfulfilled in some type of way. Or they do the whole career thing, right? They get to the top of the ladder and then they get up there and they're like, I feel so alone. Like, what did I do all this for? And then they go back to the past. They move back home, like, oh, they start reconnecting with their kids, oh, I want to find love. I want to have a baby, something like that. So it's so interesting because of that kind of tension between our Capricorn Cancer house and those energies. It's something that we want to really reflect on, want to be aware of, because in my it's my strong opinion and my belief that every house in our chart and every access in our chart, whether it be Gemini Sag, whether it be Capricorn Cancer, whether it be Aquarius Leo, requires balance and requires integration. Okay. And that is so important. And I think that's what this full moon in Capricorn wants to remind us about, is like, you need to find balance between work and home. You need to find balance between personal security and self-reliance and community and family and being vulnerable and opening up to others. Because I'm going to be honest with you, you can't do it all by yourself. You can't. You cannot. You cannot do it all by yourself. You need people. You need family. You need friends. You need a lover. You need your kid. You need people. We are social beings by creation. And I really feel like this full moon in Capricorn wants to remind us that, being hyper independent, yeah, that looks great and everything, baby, but it's sad. It's a lonely life. Okay. Don't do it. Let go of those survival patterns. And that's one of the other things, right, that we get with Capricorn and the energy of Saturn. We got to survive. Survival. We got to survive. There's this energy of lack. There's this energy of deprivation. There's this energy of, oh, you never know, tomorrow we could lose it all. Tomorrow, we could go broke, we never know what tomorrow holds. So there's this like perpetual anxiety that we experience with Capricorn, where these deep fears around loss, around tragedy, around getting broke, around, like, there's these deep fears that are connected to Capricorn. And why is that? Because Capricorn's ruled by Saturn. And Saturn is where we confront our fears. Capricorn is where we meet our fears, our deepest fears. A fear of success. If it's crazy, because people will actually be afraid. This is so crazy, but it's true. People will be afraid of succeeding. People are afraid of making money. People are afraid of money. Can you believe it? Scared of money. Being afraid of having too much. You're afraid of having too little. You're afraid of having too much. You're afraid of being seen. You're afraid of, becoming something. You're afraid of your potential. Like, it's crazy, because our fears can be these things that are very huge and very large, that are actually trying to show us where we're supposed to go and what we're supposed to do. I truly believe this, that our fears, okay, many of them, not all of them, but many of them are stepping stones to greatness. And this is what the full moon in Capricorn wants to show you, wants to reveal to you. It's like if you can conquer your fears, okay, behind it, behind those fears, you'll find greatness, you'll find mastery, you'll find success, you'll find peace, you'll find love, you'll find joy. We're afraid of so many things. We're afraid of so many things. We're afraid of love. We're afraid of intimacy. We're afraid of commitment. We're afraid of groundedness for some people. What are you afraid of? And how does this full moon, right, want you to let go of those fears or conquer those fears in some type of way? Because they're holding you back. And fears do have a protective nature to them, right? There's a reason why we're afraid of spiders. There's a reason why we're afraid of snakes. There's a reason why we're afraid of walking in the middle of the street, right? Because we don't want to get hit by a car, because we don't want to get bitten, right? So fears do protect us. They do. But we need to have discernment around the fears that are inhibiting us, that are actually not true or not real. And I it's so interesting, right? Because if you think about the axis of Capricorn and Cancer, right? Cancer has a lot to do with our unconscious, subconscious experiences. Cancer has a lot to do with, how, when we sleep and how we dream, like the unconscious realm. And it's kind of like the creative unconscious realm, right? And it's so interesting because I feel like Cancer and the moon, it feeds our fears. The moon feeds Saturn, like substance to make our fears that are not real real. And we see this at nighttime, right? Like the night is ruled by the moon and Saturn, right? At nighttime, when right, the moon comes out, and the moon and Saturn are connected to the nighttime, right? But when you are walking around, let's say it's pitch black, right? You're walking around at nighttime, your flashlight goes out. All of a sudden, when you're in darkness, your mind starts to come up with, you're seeing figures, you're hearing things, like there's all these delusional things that you start to be afraid of, right? Surrounding you, that you're seeing, that are not even real, that your imagination is actually creating. That's the axis of Capricorn and Cancer. Delusional fear that you create, that you make real yourself, that are not even, it's kind of like, oh my gosh, you're scared of something under your bed. You have all the, oh my god, the boogeyman's under my bed. It is under my bed, like, right? And then you go and look under your bed and nothing is there. Nothing is there. Sometimes something will be there, but nothing is there, right? So there's kind of this, what we have to do with this full moon, there's kind of this invitation to, okay, go and peek underneath the bed. Go open up the closet door to see if those fears, right, that you're experiencing, or that are inhibiting you or holding you back, are even real. Because most of the time, what you're going to find is that they're not. They're just delusion, fantasy, the moon, okay? You've been feeding your fears. You've been giving it life, feeding your fears life, right? And they're not even real. And how are those fears holding you back? And we see this in so many ways. Like, people are afraid to leave their job, right? And pursue an entrepreneurial career because they're afraid of the consistency when it comes to business, right? They're afraid of being self-reliant or being independent, right? They're afraid of having to be fully or totally autonomous and responsible for their own income or their own well-being, right? Like we got to go deep, because many times we're not really aware of these fears until we write them out, or until we really sit with ourselves and we ask ourselves, like, what are we afraid of? What am I afraid of? What am I afraid of? Like, and so what you have to do is, like, when an idea comes your way, or opportunity comes your way, or an inspiration, you're like, oh my god, I want to do this thing, and all of a sudden all these like blockages, or all these like feelings and emotions start coming up. You're like, oh but I can't, oh but I can't, oh but oh but, like, all of that, you got to start writing those down. You got to start writing those down, because if you cannot give them voice, or if you can't see them, or if you don't know what they are, it's gonna really hard for you to confront them or conquer them, right? So I really I would really suggest for this full moon in Capricorn that you kind of write down the things that are inhibiting you or holding you back, or the fears that you need to conquer, so that you can kind of like start working on overcoming them in some type of way, because it's truthfully like Saturn's a very powerful energy, right? Full moon in Capricorn, Saturn is a very strong planet. He's very powerful. He's one of the strongest, right? That's why him and the sun, they go at it. Right? The sun and Saturn, they be going at it, right? Saturn's a very strong planet. And we see that he has more power and more force than Jupiter, which is the planet of hope and ambition and joy and expansion and grace and unconditional love and all that's good in the world, right? Saturn has a little bit more force than Jupiter. Um, Even though they're kind of like the counterbalance for one another, we see that Saturn has a firmer grip on our reality and on people than Jupiter. People are way more pessimistic, negative, mean, cold, disconnected, right? People are way more kind of like, what would you say? Non-compassionate, non-caring, the average everyday person, then people are loving, caring, compassionate, forgiving, joyous, Jupiter, right? We see that we tend more towards Saturn energy, towards being like fearful, towards being negative, towards being pessimistic, towards being I can't, towards being doubtful. We trend more towards Saturn energy than we do towards Jupiter energy. Joy, optimism, hope, being a risk taker. That's another thing. That's a contradiction that we get between Saturn and Jupiter, and you'll see this with the Sagittarius and Capricorn. Sagittarius is a sign ruled by Jupiter. Capricorn is a sign ruled by Saturn, right? Sagittarius is like, let's party, let's have fun, let's go jump out of a plane, let's go do something wild, right? There's this like openness and this expansiveness with Sagittarian energy, where there's like this control and this like, no, we can't, and oh no, we got work tomorrow, oh we got to go to bed, oh we got to get home by 9 because I got work tomorrow, I got my responsibilities, got my obligations, right? We see that kind of push and pull, but we trend more towards Saturn energy. We trend more towards that, right? Many people do, unless they have a lot of Jupiter in their chart. But even then, society kind of pushes us more towards Saturn energy. That's just the paradigm that we're living in right now, right? So I really feel like with this full moon in Capricorn, it is necessary for us to be disciplined and self-controlled. It is necessary for us to have structure and have routine. It is necessary for us to know our limitations, right? But it's also, there can be, what I see is there's an excess of Saturn energy actually for many people. Like, and instead of doing Saturn externally, right, with structure, with discipline, with, refinement of goals and ambition and being ambitious. That's another beautiful thing that we get with Saturn is in Capricorn energy's ambition, right? We internalize Saturn's energy as fear, as self-neglect, as doubt, as, I can't, I won't, or we even just withdraw from society altogether, right? We withdraw from society. I'd rather just be by myself. I'd rather be at home all day. I don't really want to, participate in society. I don't really want to challenge myself, right? We kind of let the gravitational force of Saturn overwhelm us and totally, like, just like, it's like we're carrying a million pounds of weight or whatever, and we just can't, we just won't, we just don't, right? And so we have to kind of externalize Saturn's energy. We got to put it to use. We can't let Saturn crush us. We can't let Saturn hold us back and deny us. We can't, internalize Saturn's energy as depression, as negativity, as pessimism, as apathy. How many people? I know quite a few. I have known quite a few Aquariuses and Capricorns or Saturn people that are just apathetic. Life is, there is life, it has no meaning. There is no God. This is pointless. Why should I even? Why should I get up today? Why should I go to work? Fuck it. I'm not gonna do nothing. I'm just gonna sit here and do nothing. That nothingness, right? Like that total apathy for life. That's a Saturn thing. That's a Saturn thing. That's a Capricorn thing. It's a Capricorn Aquarius thing. Like literally waking up at 6, sleeping all day, waking up at 6 p.m. Like, not doing anything, nothing. That's when we've internalized Saturn's energy too much and it's crystallized and we've gone cold. Saturn is a planet that puts things under pressure, that crystallizes, that brings us towards stagnancy, that brings us towards coldness, right? Yes, depression is a Saturn thing, right? Yeah, apathy, nihilism. Yes, these are Saturn things. So what do we got to do? What planet exalts in Capricorn? Anybody know? What planet is exalted in Capricorn? What planet is exalted in Capricorn? We're gonna get back to the full moon, I promise. Mars. Mars, the planet of what? Passion, action, okay? Intentionality, direction, fire, heat, movement. Mars exalts in Capricorn. Because why? Mars stimulates Capricorn energy, Saturn energy to get going, to have direction, to get moving, right? And that's one of the big things I tell people that have an interesting, that have a very, very cold relationship with Mars, or their life is very stagnant. You got to get moving your body, literally. You got to get moving your body. You got to discover your passions. You got to get heat into your body. Okay, you got to start eating spicy foods. You got to go out and get sun. You got to move to a part of the world that's hot, to bring heat into your life, to bring movement, to bring passion, to bring stimulation into your life. So you got to figure that out. We got to get that going, right? And so I think that's so appropriate that I'm actually talking about Mars, because Mars is in Virgo, sextiling or trining the moon in Capricorn, this full moon in Capricorn, right? Mars is sextiling the sun within 5 degrees. Mars is trining the moon in 5 degrees. The one aspect, actually, there's two aspects that this full moon is making is a sextile to Mars, and also a sextile and a trine to the nodes. A sextile and a trine to Mars, a sextile and a trine to the nodes. So there is a Martian energy here that is being infused into this full moon in Capricorn, where we're feeling very like we got to get shit done. I got shit to do, right? Mars is in Virgo, full moon in Capricorn, at a Virgo degree. Like I got work to do. We got shit to do, I got to get some stuff done. Like we need action, we need activity, we need routine, we need discipline. Like there's a very inspiring, motivating energy that's in the air with this full moon in Capricorn, for sure, because of the aspect that's making to Mars. But also what's really interesting is like it is aspecting the south node, and we have Mars in the south node coming into a conjunction, I believe on the 20th or the 21st. So I'm going to talk about this in next week's week ahead forecast. But there is this kind of like, there's loss in the air, you know? Where there's this energy of like we're releasing things, and there's this karmic purging, or there's this karmic completion of things. Like there's certain narratives or certain stories that are ending, and I really do feel that like, because Saturn's gonna go retrograde, right, on Sunday, and he's gonna go back into Pisces, and he's gonna wrap up everything in Pisces, which is the last sign of the zodiac, and then by next year he's going into Aries, right? So I really do feel that like there's still some narratives or some stories or some things that are like wrapping up or ending, or there's still some things that we're releasing or that are coming to completion in some type of way with this full moon in Capricorn, like I was saying. And it's being reinforced by the fact that the south node is the south node and the north node are the closest celestial well, I would call them celestial bodies because they're the shadow planets when it comes to Vedic astrology, even though we don't, Western astrology doesn't consider the nodes planets. In Vedic astrology, they do. They consider the North Node and the South Node planets. They call them the shadow planets because South Node are aspecting this full moon that is ruled by Saturn, which is the planet of karma, right? And the nodes are also connected to karma, whether you're looking at the Vedic or the Western system, it is the same. They're both connected to karma or past lives, right? There's something kind of karmic or fated about this full moon that where it's like we're starting new things because the full moon is kind of like ruled by Saturn, who just ingressed into Aries. There's these new timelines emerging, and we may not even be like out externally experiencing the timelines, but we're feeling it. We're thinking about something new. We're feeling inspired. We're feeling motivated. We're feeling like I want to go in this new direction. I want to try this new thing. I want to make this, go in this new. I want to try this new career out. I want to move. I want to relocate. And we may be just feeling the inklings of the inspiration and the change, but we're not really, we're not really seeing it manifest possibly quite yet, right? But what we are seeing, I will tell you, is because it's been a narrative all year and we're going to continue to see it until the end of the year. There's things ending. There's things that we're releasing, or there's things that we're having to let go of that are very much out of our control. That are very much like, no, this is done. This is right. And so some people, the liminal space has been a big reoccurring phrase that I've been using because I really do feel like the astrology is, even with this full moon in Capricorn, like the astrology of the moment of this period is very liminal. It's very like the in between. It's like we're in the valley. We're not quite over here. We're not quite over there. We're in this shadowy, murky, confusing. Where the fuck are we going? What the fuck are we doing? We're not quite there, but we're not quite here. Like we're in this like in between liminal space. And if you're finding yourself in that place, it's a beautiful thing, okay? Because that is a creative space. That's a space of infinite potential, infinite possibility. That's a space where miracles and magic can happen. That's a space that it can be very scary and very frightening because there's no structure, there's no stability, there's no foundation in that space. But there's also open doors, right? Like you can go anywhere, you can do anything, right? And it's like that blank canvas energy. It's like the beauty of the blank canvas is that you can like paint it however you want. The scary part about the blank canvas is like, okay, it's blank. Like we're in nothingness, like so, or there's no structure, there's no foundation. We don't know what it is, right? We have work to do. So if you are finding yourself in that place, I think you should lean in. I think you should embrace it. Don't put pressure on yourself. Um, things will start to take shape. Things will start to form. You'll eventually, naturally, you're gonna feel inspired. You're gonna feel motivated. Things will start to come to you. Doors will start to open. Reality, spirit, the divine, God, whatever you want to say, we'll show you the way forward. Okay. But you may be finding yourself in that liminal space with this full moon. Okay. The darkness of the womb is space. Exactly. The darkness of the womb space. When things are being born and things are being created, they grow what? Out of darkness into the light, right? We grow in the womb, even seeds, right? Underneath the earth, right? Like they grow in darkness. Roots grow first before the actual plant breaks ground and is, talking to the sun or getting energy from the sun. So we just want to think about that. Okay. And it's also interesting because Capricorn does rule farming. It's such a reoccurring theme. Oh my gosh. In my readings that I do, um, it's so funny actually. Capricorn people, they're like, I want to go and move out into the middle of the forest. I want to have a farm with goats and pigs, and I just want to go ahead and be a plant person. I want to be a plant dad, a plant mom. I want to have my own little garden. I want to have my own little farm, and I want to be like away from society. Like it's such a reoccurring Capricorn thing. I cannot even tell you. It's like it always comes up in my readings. You know, especially when I do readings for women that are connected to Capricorn men, or they're like dating or partnered with a Capricorn man. He's like, he wants to get a chicken coop and he wants to turn our backyard into a farm and he wants to. I'm like, baby, he's a Capricorn. I don't know what to tell you. Okay. Like, it's in his blood. He's done this for millennia. Okay. He's he's toiled the land, right? He's tended to the soil. And I also think, you know, metaphorically speaking, when we're thinking about farming, you know, it is the way it's connected to Capricorn. It's about understanding timing, understanding the cycles of plants, right? And I think that's such a beautiful thing when we're talking about Capricorn, because one of the big things about Saturn and Capricorn is you reap what you sow, right? The seeds that you sow today becomes the harvest that you reap tomorrow, whether good or bad. Sometimes you sow bad seeds and you're going to get the bad consequences of this bad seeds that you've sown in your life, right? Sometimes you sow good seeds and you're going to reap the rewards and you're going to get the, you know, I always think of like that cornucopia full of fruit, and you know, you reap the harvest and you have a good harvest because you've sown good seeds. So I think this full moon in Capricorn is also kind of like a karmic checkpoint of like, what seeds are you sowing in your life? Are you sowing seeds that are going to be abundant, that are going to bring you good health, that are going to bring you money, that are going to bring you success? Like, or are you sowing seeds that are going to make you sick, make you ill, right? You're not eating right. You don't have good, healthy habits. You're not being consistent. You're not being disciplined. So, you know, it's going to be harder for you to make that money. It's going to be harder for you to succeed. It's going to be harder for you, you know, like, what seeds are you sowing? And I think this is a beautiful time to kind of like ask yourself that with this full moon in Capricorn that we're having, because, yeah, you reap what you sow. And it's all about understanding life cycles and timing as well. I think that's another Capricorn thing. And if you're a farmer, if you're a person that's connected to plants, right, then you have to know when it's time to sow seeds and when it's time to reap the harvest, or when it's time to kind of like renew the soil and renew the land, right? Like there comes a point. I don't know. I'm not a farmer. Okay. I don't know anything about farming, but I'm just assuming. Okay. And if you're a farmer, we have a farmer here in the, you know, Instagram live chat, please check me on this. But there's a time where you've reaped your harvest and then you got to toil the land to like replenish it, or you just got to let the land kind of like be still before you like plant new seeds so that it can, you know, reoxidize, or the nutrients can be in the ground again, or we can let the land replenish in some type of way, right? And this is also how it is with us if we think about ourselves metaphorically in that way, right? Like there's a time where we want to work, we want to toil the land, right? But we need rest as well. We need rest. We need to know when we just need to leave things alone and like let them grow and like let them be, so that they can go ahead and do their own thing. And I really do feel this like with Cancer, that energy with parents, right? You see this with parents. There comes a point when, as a parent, you need to let your child do their own thing. You need to let your child like kind of struggle, kind of suffer, kind of be self-reliant, because that's the only way they're going to learn, right? We want to do Cancer. We want to protect them. We want to nurture them. We want to support them. We want to help them. But at some point, you just need to like leave it alone and let it be. Let your child be. Let the land be. Let other people be. You need to let them struggle. You need to let them suffer. You need to kind of let them, you know, go through the lived experience of hardship and difficulty, right? In order for them to learn, in order for them to grow. And I think that's so hard. This is also why this generation that we live in right now, like with this generation of parents, they have such a hard time disciplining their kids, right? There's like a lack of Saturn energy when it comes to parenting right now. Like this is why kids are just unruly in the schools. There's no respect. They don't honor authority. They can't hold a job down because there's not enough Saturn being applied to kids' lived experience. Some kids need a lot of discipline. They need, I hate to say it, okay, but they need a good, okay, because that's the only way they're going to learn. They're never going to be able to hold down a job. They're never going to honor authority or respect authority. They're never going to grow or learn things if they do not have a good relationship with Saturn or understand Saturn, the need for discipline, the need for rules and regulations, the need to respect authority, right? To follow the rules. Because at some point, society is going to demand that of you. She said, I'm finna chancla today, probably. Right? So this full moon in Capricorn, I think it wants to remind us as well that like sometimes hardship, discipline, difficulty, struggle it deepens us. It teaches us very important lessons, right? It refines us and it makes us more self-reliant. It makes us more disciplined. It makes us more responsible and things like this, right? And I think that access of Capricorn and Cancer, it's like we can't be too soft on others. We can't be too soft on ourselves. Sometimes we need a little bit of hardship. We need a little bit of difficulty. And this is what Saturn teaches us, right? Like you don't get stronger by pumping less weight at the gym. No. The way that you get stronger is by putting on more weight, carrying more, testing yourself, seeing what you're capable of what weight are you capable of pushing, right? And that's how you get stronger. That's how you build muscles, which is Mars. Mars exalts in Capricorn. You build muscles, Mars, right? By adding more weight onto by pushing more weight. Saturn. That's the way you build strength. That's how you get strong, So I just want to remind you guys of that. Like sometimes we do need Capricorn, full moon Capricorn. We need to suffer and struggle a little bit, and we need to go through the experience in order to learn, right? Why are you barking? What's going on? You don't even know how to bark, Gilbert. He go, "Ooh." He don't even bark. Like, why are you even barking? Is it us, Saturn and Libra folks? So when you start talking about like esoteric philosophy around Saturn and how Saturn is a planet connected to karma and like reincarnation and stuff, the big thing with Saturn, right, is like we've come here, we've reincarnated into this physical reality to experience the things that we study on the other side of the veil. So, for instance, right, when we are disembodied, when we're in the spirit worlds, we're on the other side of the veil. We study love, we study pain, we learn about these things conceptually, love, pain, hardship, we study these things as concepts, as souls. But then when we are incarnated in carne, right, in the meat bodies, we actually physically experience these things. We experience emotions, we experience rejection, we experience fear, we experience hardship, we experience love, right? We have to toil. We actually have to live through what we've studied on the other side of the veil conceptually, right? And it's very tough. We realize, like, wait a minute, because it's one thing to study something because when you study something, you have a little bit of a detached relationship with it. You're not actually, it's like you can go to school and you can study what it is to be a doctor, right? You can go to school, you can go to and people have to go to medical school for years, right? So that's kind of like how it is on the other side of the veil. It's like we're in school and we're studying what it means to be a human. Like, oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. They have to deal with emotions. Oh, they have to deal with rejection. Oh, they have to bleed and they have to go through pain and they have to go through these things. We're like, oh my gosh, wow, look at that, right? But there's a detachment in that experience when you're on the other side of the veil. Then, guess what? Saturn is like, all right, now I'm gonna put you through it. Now you're going to be incarnated. I'm going to put you in these meat bodies and you're now going to experience all the things that you've studied. Oh, you studied pain, now you're going to go through pain. Oh, you studied rejection, now you're going to go through rejection. Oh, you studied loss. okay, and tragedy on the other side. Now you're gonna deal with it. You're gonna experience it. And it's a very different thing. It's a very different thing when you have to go through it. And this is what Saturn is here to teach us. Saturn doesn't teach through schooling and education and knowledge and books the way Jupiter and Mercury do. Saturn teaches you by you have to go through it. You got to go through the heartbreak. You got to go through the devastation. You got to go through the struggle. You got to go through the loss. You got to put in the time. You got to do the work. And that's how you learn. Those are Saturn's lessons, right? You're not going to really know what it is to lose somebody close to you until someone around you passes away and you're like, oh, that's what that's like. Oh, that's what that is. It's a very different thing. Very different. Very, very, very different. And that's what this full moon in Capricorn wants to remind us. It's like you learn through the experience. That's what Saturn teaches us. You learn by being put through it. You have to suffer. You have to struggle. You have to cry. You have to beg. You have to plead. You have to grieve. You have to go through it in order to actually experience it, to know what that thing is, right? Many people, they're like, oh, poverty, right? Many people they've never known poverty. But those that have gone through poverty, they've actually experienced it. That word is something totally different to them. It means something totally different to them, you know? Tragedy, loss, going through the death of a spouse, the death of a child, the death of an animal, having to deal with them. Those are Saturn things, right? Those are Saturn things. And you're not going to know, really, truthfully, you're not going to know until you go through it, until you experience it yourself, you know? You can feel it through others. You can hear other people's stories. You can study, you can read about it, all these things, but it's not until you go through it that you're going to experience it. This is what Saturn reminds us of. This is what Capricorn's about. Until you do it, until you go through it, you don't know really much about it. Okay. So it's the same thing. It's like you could go to school to be a doctor, but you're not a doctor until you're practicing, until you're actually using the knowledge and the wisdom that you've accumulated in school, and you're putting into practice, and there's an application of the knowledge and the wisdom, right? That's what Saturn expects. It's not enough just to study it, just to do it. And this is one of the big things that I really feel like, there's a lot of, I don't even want to go there. Should I go there? I'm not going to go there. What I will say is you're not a professional whatever until you're actually putting it into practice and using the knowledge to serve people. Period. I don't care what it is. It could be you could go to law school, right? But until you're an actual practicing lawyer, you're not a lawyer, right? You can go to, dental school, but until you're actually practicing as a dentist, you're not a dentist. You got to put in the time. You got to put in the experience. And there's things that you're going to learn along the way that are going to totally defy what you studied and what you read, like through the experience of it, by doing it, by being of service with the wisdom and the knowledge that you've accumulated, right? Very important thing to remember about Capricorn energy and about Saturn. Okay. So, all right, let's talk about it's 10:15. I don't know where the time went, but here we are, an hour and 15 minutes later. let's hone it. Let's bring it back to this particular full moon in Capricorn. Okay. Let me go ahead and actually put the full moon on the rising. Hold on. Let me do this. Let me put the full moon on the rising so I get an idea of what we got going on here. Okay. So one of the beautiful things that I love about this full moon is there's a few, it's kind of rough. I don't know. I think this full moon's a little rough. I'm thinking this, I don't know, my loves. Thank you. You like the hair? Thank you. I'm gonna be honest. I think this full moon's a little rough. I put the full moon on the rising. We have Mercury in the 8th. We got Venus in the 6th. We have Mars in the 9th. We have Saturn in the 4th. I'm looking at Venus in the 6th and Mercury in the 8th. I feel like there's endings and transformations with work and jobs. And I feel like there's like health stuff that people are having to deal with. And I feel like we're like struggling to find our footing in some type of way collectively. Like we don't know what the fuck is going on. I feel like there's a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress with this full moon. I feel like it's like we want to go somewhere, we have all this energy, but we don't know what to do with it in some type of way. I think this full moon is asking us to kind of surrender and to allow transformation and change to happen and to be very proactive with how we respond to things, to like issues or challenges or problems that we're experiencing in the outside world. I think, okay, this is what I feel, okay? Okay, this is what I feel, all right? I'm just looking at this chart, and this chart is giving me this. There's larger global collective societal things that are shifting and changing, and we're waiting for those things to kind of like settle, or we're waiting to get more clarity on those things before we can figure out how to pivot and how to move and how to make change in our own individual lives. It feels like there's like these bigger, larger things above us, beyond us, outside of us that we're being caught in, right? As individuals. And we're trying to see where the dice lands on a bigger scale before how we can figure out how to navigate the game and play the game. Does that make sense? Someone said they just got denied for a loan to help pay for the care home we got my mom into. Yeah, my love. It's it's a little rough. It's a little rough, you know. What I will tell you, for you specifically, for you, okay. If you want to reapply for a loan, you should do it in October. All right. The reason being is because we're it's Saturn is like you know, even though Jupiter is now 6 degrees away from Saturn, we have that new moon in Cancer over the last 2 weeks that was squaring Saturn, which had a lot to do with like rejections and denials and things like this. Okay. So, and like many people, they're like, oh my God, I went for a job interview and I didn't get it. Oh my God, I was expecting a promotion and I didn't get it. Oh my God, like, I was expecting something, or I wanted this new blessing, this new opportunity. Son, oh, look at that cool. What do you want, dude? A little lizard. He's just like propped up on this rock and he's just like staring at me. Let me show you guys really quick. You can see him. He's listening in. What a Capricorn is connected to reptiles, by the way. Look at him right here. Let me show you guys. Look. He's getting sun. Let me zoom in real quick. I'm gonna get back to what I was talking about. That's him right there. See him? He just like moved and like propped up right there. I just show you. Yeah, yeah. Capricorn is a sign connected to reptiles, by the way. Capricorn is Scorpio, a reptilian. Reptiles, reptilian in nature. That's why I don't know. Sometimes Capricorn people, they give that energy of like, are you like a lizard? Are you a snake? Are you a reptile? The actual animal for Capricorn in Vedic astrology. Are we back? You guys see me? Hold on, give me a second. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys see me? Sorry, everybody. Someone called. I just put on my do not disturb. Can you guys hear me? Are we good? Lizard spirit coming through. Push-ups. Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Are we good? I'm gonna wait for people to come back on. Wait for people to respond. Can you guys hear me? I don't see people responding. Hold on. Are we back? Are we good? Oh, man. It keeps glitching. Hold on, give me a second. Give me a second, folks. What about now? Is it better now? Give me a second, everybody on. So it's still paused. Is it better? Are we here? Dang. You guys see me? Are we back? Oh, it ended. All right, hold on. I'm going to pause the recording really quick. I'll be right back. Okay, it's going to be all one thing on YouTube though when I upload this to YouTube. Let's just wait for people to rejoin. I'm not seeing anybody. What is going on? Hold on. All right. I had to restart my live on Instagram. All right. I think we're back. Let's see if the live is working. Okay, we got people coming back. Cool. All right, it's working. There we go. We're back. We're just going to do a part 1 and part 2. Sorry about that, folks. I went ahead and put on do not disturb, so it's working. Okay, cool. Let's wait for everybody to come back. We're just gonna do a part 1 and a part 2. I'm gonna post this as like a what's up? Welcome back, everybody. This is gonna be all one post on YouTube though. Okay. Someone said Cap Rising checking in to see how it's gonna wreck my life further. It's funny. Oh, goodness gracious. We gotta finally get to catch alive. Thank you, Jesus. Yeah. All right, well, let's keep going. So I was talking about the new moon in Cancer. So what I was talking about is the new moon that we had 2 weeks ago was squaring Saturn. So there's like a lot of cancellations, a lot of setbacks, a lot of delays and stuff, right? But what we have happening in a few months in October is we have Saturn and Jupiter that are going to be trining each other. Okay. Welcome everybody coming back. So this is part 2. I'm going to go ahead and post part 1 after this. Because yeah, someone called me and messed up the live. So here we are. We're doing 2 parts, okay? For those of you on Instagram. All right. But this will be posted to YouTube later on today. And you'll be able to watch it all on YouTube as well, right? So Someone said their 16-year-old cat passed away. Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the things I was talking about is with this full moon, there's gonna be a lot of endings, a lot of kind of karmic completions, a lot of things kind of like wrapping up. And it's gonna be a little difficult. I do think that this full moon is a little rough, it's a little sad. We have, you know, Mercury in the 8th house away from the full moon. We got Venus in the 6th house. So it's interesting how you had a pet pass away because Mercury is the planet connected to pets. The 6th house ruler, right? So Capricorn, if you put Capricorn on the rising, they have Gemini in the 6th house of pets. And the ruler of Gemini is Mercury. You have Mercury going through the 8th house of death, transformation, rebirth, and things like this, right? We also have the ruler of the full moon in Capricorn, Saturn, in the 4th house. The 4th house and the 8th house are both connected to endings, and so is the 12th, okay? Release, completions, you know, transformations, and things like this. You also had 2 family members pass. Yeah. There's a lot of endings, okay? Karmic endings that we just have to deal with, right? That new moon in Cancer was squaring Saturn in Aries, and now we have a full moon in Capricorn ruled by Saturn, right? So it's just understanding that we are in this kind of like timeline shift right now where like the old is leaving, things that we've been at for too long, or things that are at their end of life, or that, you know, are kind of like it's like time is moving, right? So Saturn is the planet of time, but Saturn is also the Grim Reaper. Okay. Yeah. Saturn is an archetype of the Grim Reaper. So, you know, you think about the scythe because Saturn is the Reaper. So right, Saturn is known, Capricorn, Saturn is known as like the reaper, as in reaping what you sow, as in the farmer, right? But also the grim reaper, the reaper that comes when we're at our end of life, because Saturn rules over time. Saturn is connected to death and endings. So it's just something that we got to keep in mind with this full moon in Capricorn. Okay. Yesterday I was at the vet, actually yesterday. The moon was already in Capricorn. The moon was at, I think, 0 or 1 degree Capricorn yesterday. And I was at the vet all morning for my brother's dog. And there was 2 animals that passed away there. In my time there, they ended up bringing out, it was crazy because one guy, he brought his dog in the morning, and like literally like 45 minutes or an hour later, they're bringing his dog out. His dog was alive. They were bringing his dog out in a body bag. It was really, really sad. So we just got to understand that, you know, full moons ruled by Saturn, full moons in Capricorn. These are kind of about completions, endings. We're wrapping things up. Okay. And we just got to honor that, like whatever's coming to an end, especially if you're like cardinal sign, if you have cardinal placements, if you have anything around, you know, 18 degrees of Capricorn, Cancer, Aries, Libra, this is going to be a very important full moon for you. This full moon can actually physically manifest in your life as something. Also, if you have anything at the beginning degrees of a cardinal sign, if you have anything at the like around 1 degree of Aries, Capricorn, Libra, or Cancer as well, because Saturn is also squaring you or opposing you, right? The square, the opposition, the conjunction, these are the strongest aspects. They create the most change, and they instigate things. They kind of move things forward. Sometimes they force things into our life, or they put us through things that are kind of beyond our control. That could be a little difficult. It could be a little hard. That where our power or our authority is kind of taken away from us, and we just have to go through something. We have to confront something, you know. That's what conjunctions, oppositions, and squares in aspect to our planets do. All right. So it's just something to keep in mind when you though, for those of you that are learning astrology, you want to understand how aspects work, you know, sextiles, trines, conjunctions, squares, oppositions, the primary 5. You always want to remember that oppositions, conjunctions, and squares are by far the strongest, and they instigate things. Okay. They trigger things, they move things along. So, all right. So let's get back to the full moon in Capricorn. So what I was noticing with the full moon, right? We have Saturn in the 4th, like I was saying, Mercury in the 8th, and Venus in the 6th. So there's a lot of things around 8th house, 6th house things that are kind of like shifting or changing, and also 4th house things. So for the last 27 years. So, you know, the full moon is ruled by Saturn in the 4th. So this is what I was talking about in the previous live. I don't know, maybe I was talking about this like 30, 45 minutes ago. It could have been a while ago I was talking about this. But I'm going to talk about it again because I'm talking about the chart itself. Saturn in the 4th house, this is about the past. This full moon is bringing up the past. Okay. What's also really interesting is Mercury is slowing down to go retrograde, right? And he's in the 8th house with the full moon. Saturn is also about to go retrograde in a few days. So in the 4th house away from the full moon, during a full moon in Capricorn cycle that he rules over, he's about to go retrograde. So what we're getting is we're getting the past resurfacing. We're getting things coming back from the past. We're getting also home, family, ancestry, our living location, property, real estate, big things that we own or that of value, right? That we want to buy, luxury items. So cars, boats, your ATV, or even just like things that are very, very expensive. Okay. Those are things that are going to be that coming into focus, or that are going to be an area of focus, or that are going to be highlighted, or we're going to see some kind of activity with during this full moon. Okay. We also have Venus and Uranus in the 6th house, which is health, which is jobs, which is routines, which is pets. Okay, which is also our day-to-day experience. Also, open enemies, our coworkers, right? The job that we go to. Venus, Uranus in the 6th house from this full moon. There's going to be shifts, continued shifts and changes in the jobs, in the workplace. Some of you might be doing a job or getting a job that you are like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It's a new frontier for you. Okay. You're working independently. You're working online. You're working from home. You're doing something you've never done before. You have a weird, odd job that you're going to be working. Okay. Because we have Venus, Uranus together in the 6th house. Okay. From the new moon. All right. Or from this full moon. Okay. Is what I meant to say. Also, it is a full moon out of Virgo degree, which is connected to what? Virgo is a sign of jobs, our workplace, our health, our wellness, our pets. So that theme is kind of being further amplified by the fact that Venus and Uranus are in the 6th house away from the full moon in Capricorn. That's at 18 degrees of Virgo degree. 6th house is Virgo energy. Okay. And then we have Mercury, who's slowing down in the 8th house away from the full moon, and who's about to go retrograde. All right. So 8th house things coming back from the past, but things being reborn. Okay. In some type of way. There's some kind of psychological transformation or change that we're going through. Actually, someone said they started 2 new jobs. I actually started 2 new jobs. Love the one till coworkers started wrecking it for me. Yeah, well, 6th house ruler in the 8th house from the full moon. This is like you have people that don't like you. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, you have coworkers that just I don't know. It feels like there's a little bit of chaos and stuff in the workplace, or with jobs in general, or like with with the work, like with the job market, with the working market. Like there's like what's going on, Uranus, Venus there, the 6th house ruler in the 8th house. There's more layoffs. There's more deaths and rebirths when it comes to jobs and the workplace and things like this. Okay. I will tell you, but there's also what I really like about this full moon, and even around the new moon, like we're going in new directions, my loves. You know, we're going in new directions. There's a new life coming in. Oh, you got to send a settlement check from an old job. Oh yeah, Mercury in 8th house. I love that. Yeah, so I love that. Yeah, you got it. So 8th house is connected to unearned income. So 8th house is not only loans and debt. Okay, 8th house could be grant money, money that you're owed, insurance money that you're owed. You go to court and someone ran into you, and you're waiting for that insurance check to come in. That's the 8th house. Mercury's there. So with Mercury retrograde in the 8th house, going retrograde in the 8th house from the full moon, you may see some unearned income come in. Money that is owed to you from an old job or from an insurance company, or there could even be someone that pays you back. Okay, something like that. That's Mercury in the 8th. Okay. So, yeah, also South Node Mars in the 9th house. Yeah. Should I? I don't really like. I don't like telling people to not travel, or to like, oh, be careful, don't travel. South Node Mars in the 9th though is kind of giving maybe challenges or issues around traveling during this full moon. Okay. There may be cancellations, there may be difficulties, there may be you may forget something, you may forget your passport, you may forget something that you needed to take with you. You know, there can be an unexpected setback that you deal with when it comes to traveling. I'm just looking at the South Node in Mars in the ninth, and I don't know, it's kind of giving difficulty or hardship or challenges when it comes to traveling. Okay. It doesn't mean cancel your vacation, all right? But what I am saying is just kind of expect those things. Make sure you're paying attention to the details. Make sure you're paying attention to the nitty-gritty stuff if you are traveling over the next 2 weeks. Make sure that you have everything with you, all your passports, everything, okay? This could also be about health issues that are also happening in conjunction with traveling in some type of way. So it's like, oh yeah, you're traveling, but you're sick, you know? Oh, you're traveling, but you ate something really bad the morning of and before the morning of your flight, and you're like, you have a stomach thing going on, you know? So just something to think about, all right? You have Jupiter and Pisces in the second house. You have Jupiter in the second too, and I love that placement for money. Jupiter in the second is very blessed when it comes to money and finances, especially if you're doing something Jupiterian, like whatever planet you. This is just a little side advice for you guys. If you do your planet in the second house, whatever planet rules your second house, or if you do the planet in your second house, you'll be able to make money. So if you do Jupiter things, and sometimes you're gonna do it without even realizing it. Sometimes, or even like the second, sixth, 10th house axis, right? Or the second, sixth, 10th house trine. Those houses, those are the work houses, those are the money houses, those are the material world houses. But if you do your second house planet, it'll bring you money. So with Jupiter in the second, you gotta kinda, like, share knowledge and wisdom, you gotta travel, you gotta be open to foreign cultures, you gotta work for different, like, international businesses, you gotta, like, do publishing, you gotta, write books and stuff, or you gotta teach, share wisdom, share knowledge, be a coach, something like that. You'll be able to make money, okay? Mars in the second, do something creative. Do something where you're like a pioneer, you're starting something, or you're doing, or even working independently, or do something that's very like that you're very motivated or very passionate about. Or do something, yeah, do something that's like you got to kind of like be a pioneer. You got to do something that's like new, fresh, hasn't been done before. If you really want that Mars in the second to like make you money, Mars in the second, I don't like the malefics in the second. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't like Mars and Saturn in the second bring issues or problems with money and finances. So, and it's a little hard. It's a little difficult when you have Saturn and Mars in the second. Because it's gonna take you a little bit more time to like make money, or you're gonna have challenges with money. You're gonna have very difficult relationship with money a lot of times when you have Saturn and Mars in the second. Someone said she's like, actually read tarot cards for Maryland Renaissance Festival, and I'm an English education teacher. Oh yeah, there you go. Jupiter in the second. I love that. You're teaching. Beautiful thing. Love that for you. Venus in the second, baby, you should sell products. Get into beauty, get into fashion, have your own online store, do something creative, show your face to the world, get paid, be a model. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah, teaching and intuition are Pisces in the second. Yes. Yeah, spirituality. Yeah, Pisces in the second is also working for a foreign international place or working for the disenfranchised. So if you have Pisces in the second, working for like the homeless, helping the homeless, helping disenfranchised children, working with drug addicts, working as a counselor, a therapist, things like that. Or even helping people like financially in some type of way. Like being a financial consultant, giving people loans, helping people rebuild credit, stuff like that. Okay, let's keep going. Let's bring it back to the full moon in Capricorn, okay? Because yeah, and honestly, if you haven't booked a reading with me, what are you doing, babes? What are you doing? Like, I tell you all this and more. When it comes to when it comes to your chart. Okay. Like, I will give you very specific, detailed information about your chart. I will tell you how you can make money. I'll give you some instruction on career. And many people, you'll be shocked. You'll be surprised. You'll be like, oh my God, how did he know this? Because, baby, it's not just the astrology. I'm also psychic and intuitive. Okay. I was like, I got a leg up. I got a leg up on the other astrologers because I also read tarot cards and I'm very intuitive. And that's a whole nother magic that I don't care how much astrology you study, baby. Okay. If you ain't got the intuition, good luck. Good luck. You need intuition. Good astrology requires intuition. All right. I don't care how many million, you can read 1 billion books. Okay. But unless you have the intuition, you're not gonna be able to apply it. You said a man of culture, I see. Oh my goodness, you guys are so funny. I appreciate you guys. All right, so let's keep going. Let's keep talking about the full moon in Capricorn, okay? So one of the beautiful things, let me tell you one of the beautiful things I love about this full moon in Capricorn. All right. I love Jupiter in Cancer, in the sun in Cancer in the 7th house from the full moon. Obviously, with a full moon, we always have the sun in the 7th. What's so interesting about full moons is that they tend to illuminate relationships and partnerships and connections. They tend to illuminate our relationship with the outside world or relationship with others because we have the sun and the moon in opposition to each other, right? But with Jupiter in the 7th, right? There's this energy of like, we want to be open and vulnerable. We want to partner. We want to get married. We want to find love. We want to, connect with others. We want to kind of like go deeper into our relationships. There's an invitation for us to be more trusting, to be more faithful, to be more optimistic, and to actually give ourselves permission to rely on other people and to ask for help and to ask for support. So I love the Jupiter in the 7th. I think this is great for business partnerships. I think this is great for marriage. I really do feel like there are people getting married and there's people that are having a celebration, or there's people that are having like a really something good, like a win or something like that with that 7th house Jupiter. Um, and yeah, people were feeling there's like an inspiration in the air or something like this. So I really liking welcome everybody coming in. So this is part 2 of our full moon in Capricorn. I had somebody call and ruin it. So this is part 2. I'm gonna post both of them. They're gonna be all in one on my YouTube though. Okay. Yeah, and I was talking about that earlier, with Capricorn, the full moon in Capricorn. I was talking about the sign of Capricorn. I was talking about how Capricorn, and you also see this with Scorpio and Aries. You see this with Aquarius, Capricorn, Scorpio, and Aries. There's hyper independence, hyper self-reliance. Like I don't need nobody. I could do this all by myself, right? But then I was talking about at the end of the day, I was like, what I was saying is like, then they go home at night and they're like, oh, they're all crying. And they're like, oh, I wish I had somebody. And I wish I wasn't doing this all myself. Right. Because the truth of the matter and the fact of the matter is that we do need community. We do need family. We do need support. We do want love. We do want a spouse. We do want these things. And so it's a careful balance between that Capricornian, you know, I'm personally responsible for myself and I don't need nobody and I'm self-reliant and I'm all strong and I'm all right. That's great and that's beautiful. We love that. But then Cancer, Sun in Cancer, we need family. We need nurture. We need to be nurtured. Sometimes you want to be hugged. Sometimes you want to be taken care of. Sometimes you just want to be kissed and supported, you know? Like sometimes it's what we want. And so it's a balance between those things. We can't do too much of one or too much of the other, right? Cancer is codependent, where Capricorn is independent. And I think that space between is interdependence, right? Like we're with the truth and the fact of the matter is that we're all interdependent in some type of way on other people, right? You're dependent on your job, you're dependent on your clients, you're dependent on the waterman to bring you water, you're dependent on the store, on the employees at the store that help explain things to you or that check you out at the store, right? You're dependent on the people in South America and the people in Mexico that, are picking the fruit and that are growing the things that ship it here, right? Like we all exist in these like very intricate, interdependent systems that allow us to thrive and prosper and grow. We can't do things alone. And it's a delusion. It's a lie that we live if we tell ourselves, "Oh, yeah, I'm doing it all alone. I'm independent." No, you're not. Actually, you're not. You're not. You're actually not. Okay? Because you are relying on somebody for something, 100% guaranteed. You have to participate in society, you know? She said cries in Cancer moon cap rising. It's rough trying to strike that balance. It is. Mhm. It's very rough, but it's a balance that we need to find, you know? We can't do too much of the other, okay? So, and it's such an appropriate thing to talk about during a full moon in Capricorn, right? Because even though we have the sun in Cancer, we have the moon in its detriment. So that's another thing to think about, right? This is what I was talking about in the week ahead astrology, when I was briefly mentioning the full moon in Capricorn and the full moon in Aquarius being in the seasons of the luminaries. So, the sun is in Cancer. The sun is in Leo and Cancer, right? The seasons of the luminaries this month and next month. So it's all warm and it's fun and it's all like great and everything. But then we have these full moons that happen during the seasons of the luminaries, that where the moon goes into when the moon is in detriment, right? In Capricorn, the moon is in a rough place. Even in Aquarius, the moon is in a sign ruled by Saturn. And so we have these full moons that are happening during the seasons of the luminaries when the sun is transiting Cancer and Leo. The sun is in the signs of the luminaries, where the full moons are happening in this opposing, cold, disconnected, sad, grief-stricken, tragedy-stricken like signs, right? So it's kind of like there's this contradiction that we experience during the seasons of the luminaries, where karmic things happen, fated things happen, where we get kind of like tested in ways that we usually don't see coming, right? Or that can be very, wow, like right in the middle of summer. Like, why did I have to go through that in the middle of summer? Well, it's because we have these full moons that are Saturn ruled, right? We have these full moons that are Saturn ruled. So I just think it's kind of something, it's something interesting to think about, right? We have this full moon in Capricorn where the moon is in detriment. Why is the moon in detriment in Capricorn? Because Capricorn is a sign that's cold, that's mean, that is about responsibility, obligation, and just, toughen up, get it together, stop crying, right? Like that's the energy of Capricorn. And the moon is like, oh, but I want to cry, I want to express, I just want to be comforted, I want to be supported, right? But then but Capricorn is like, no, do it yourself. No, take care of yourself, support yourself. We don't have time to cry. You got work to do. Like, get up and get going. You know what I mean? Like, stop crying. Right. And so that's why the moon, which is this very soft, sensitive, creative, supportive, nurturing planet, is in detriment in Capricorn, right? Is in detriment in Capricorn because the moon is constricted, the moon is deprived of love and affection, the moon is disciplined, and the moon is like, it's like it's punished in the sign of Capricorn, right? Capricorn has a lot to do with punishment. And you'll see that a lot of people with Capricorn energy, or Saturn energy, they punish themselves. Right? I always think of like self-affliction, or like, those people that like flog themselves, like, oh, I did something wrong. Like, let me flog myself, let me punish myself, right? That's a Capricorn thing, you know? That's why my Capricorn sun and moon baby daddy is just like that. Yeah, that's why he's like that. I'm gonna go ahead and post my YouTube in my stories. If you actually go through on my link tree in my bio, you'll be able to find my YouTube link there. Okay. If you type in Louis the Soul Sage on YouTube, I will come up. I'm testing it right now, actually, just to see. Yeah, it just came up right now. Louis the Soul Sage. So type in Louis the Soul Sage on YouTube. You can just type in, if you Google YouTube and the Soul Sage all connected, it'll come up. Yeah, just like that. Yeah. Louis the Soul Sage. Yeah. Or you can go through my link tree. Okay. You can follow. I post all my lives there. I've been posting all my lives there. So all my week ahead forecast, and also my new moon, my full moon lives that I do. Okay. Yep. All right. So let's keep going. Let's keep talking about the full moon in Capricorn. All right. So what was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about the South Node in Mars in the night. Yeah, delays with travel. Also a lot of people feeling inspired to like educate themselves, go back to school, learn something new. There is this energy of like needing to expand our skill set and want to make money in new ways. We got Pluto and Aquarius in the second house. We got Uranus and Venus in the sixth. And Venus in Gemini, and then and Venus is ruling over the 10th. So there is this energy of like we want to make money in new ways. We want to try new things out. Okay. I will say though, with Mercury about to go retrograde in like a week, and with Saturn going retrograde in a few days, this is what I actually said this in the first live. I'm gonna say it, I'm gonna repeat it again. Before we go forward, we got to go backwards. Okay. Before we go forwards, we got to go backwards. So there's some things that we got to finish up. There's some things from the past that we got to like find completion with. There's some things that we got to wrap up before we can progress in our timeline, before we can like move forward in some type of way. Oh, look at Someone said that I'm expanding my skills as a lawyer, branching into tech now. Pluto is also transiting my 10th house, and I have Uranus opposition approaching. Yes, that's makes so much sense. Trying to find a nice school, picked up this job with a bunch of crap heads, just trying to experience to be able to get a different job. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Yeah, it's like, yeah, we're in transition, right? Like there's this energy with Uranus, Venus, and Gemini. Like we do want to expand and we want to learn new things. We want to kind of acquire new skills in some type of way in order for us to um further along our career or redirect our career or go in new directions with our career. Why? Because the full moon in Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, who just went into a new sign. So we're going in new directions, right? We're starting something new. Saturn in Aries, Saturn being in the first sign of the zodiac, right? He just left the last sign. He's in a retrograde and go back into Pisces. That's why there's going to be this energy of kind of like having to wrap things up before we can move forward. But Saturn in Aries is giving us a preview of what's to come, of the new direction, of the new timeline, is kind of showing us a little bit. He's giving us some insight. Okay, this is where you're going. This is where things are. This is what, where I want you to start moving towards. This is what I want you to start building towards. This is the fresh new direction that you're going to be building towards, right? Or moving into, or whatever. So, there is this energy of like kind of Saturn showing us, giving us a preview of what's to come in some type of way. Okay. As he firmly goes into Aries next year, because he's in a retrograde back into Pisces, then he's going to firmly go back into Aries by next year. Okay. So it's just something to keep in mind. All right. With this, because it's a full moon in Capricorn ruled by Saturn. So, there's a little bit of a transition. We're in a transitionary phase. I think that's something that we just want to think about. Okay. All right. Bad recommendation that costed me my new job. Oh my gosh, that sucks. That's terrible. On the 4th, your previous employer sent in a bad recommendation. Oh, those bastards. That's Saturn for you. Why would, like, it's just don't send the recommendation then. Like, if, oh my goodness. They sent in a bad recommendation. That sucks. I'm sorry that you experienced that. That's the new moon squaring Saturn, though. That new moon squares the past coming back to haunt us in some type of way. Rejection is protection. It definitely is. Right? How dare they? Yeah, there's a lot of doves. There's a lot of animals back here. There's a lot of creatures back here. So, okay. What was I going to talk about? All right. So, this full moon is going to be the best for earth signs. So, if you are Capricorn, Virgo, or Taurus rising, especially, this is going to be a really good full moon for you. It's activating houses 1, 5, 9. So this is about your creative endeavors. This is about your belief systems. This is about your personality, your identity. There's like certain things that are shifting and changing in your life that you're needing to like move towards. I will say it will be rough though. I feel like if you're a Capricorn rising, there's certain things in partnerships and relationships and your business ventures and your career direction that are like shifting and changing, especially like with family and stuff like this. There's stuff about family in the past that you got to deal with. Okay. If you are a Taurus, I think Taurus risings are experiencing like the best of the best. The full moon's in the 9th house with the sun in the 3rd. So I think Taurus rising, this is about learning. This is about, you got to learn some new things. You got to expand your worldview, your perspective. You got to educate yourself. You got to get that degree. You got to get that, certificate or something like this. There's something where Capricorn or where Taurus rising needs to like learn something new. Also, Taurus rising, there's things with like your fears, your unconscious, subconscious mind, your repressed anger, your repressed rage, you know, the issues that you have with family and stuff like this. You got to get over that. Taurus rising. You got to get over the stuff with your past. You got to get over like the, you know, like inaction, being lazy, like letting fear, paranoia, you know, like hold you back. You got to get over that stuff because Saturn going through your guys' 12th now is like Saturn's gonna clean that stuff up, and Saturn's gonna tell you it's time to move, you know. It's time to create movement in your mental realm. It's time to shift your perspectives and change some things, okay? Um, but yeah, Taurus, new sources of income as well. And also, yeah, this is going to be about for earth sign risings, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. This is about new sources of income. This is about new work, new career directions, new fields, okay? Um Virgo rising, I think this full moon it's happening on your 5th house, 11th house axis. I think Virgo rising, this full moon's about friendships. It's about fun. It's about your children. It's about your creative endeavors. It's about being celebrated or being seen. I also think Virgo rising, this full moon's about getting back to the things that you're passionate about or that bring you joy. I also think that this full moon's going to shift a lot of things. It's just, I'm seeing Venus, Uranus in your guys' 10th. And you know, this is looking like you're going a new career direction. Something is shifting and changing. Okay. With your work and your career and stuff like this. It may be a little tough, maybe a little difficult. You know, Virgo rising, I think y'all are stressed out and you're anxious and you're paranoid because we have the ruler of your rising in the 12th house in Leo and about to go retrograde. So, you know, Virgo rising, there's things shifting, things changing. You just got to lean in, okay? I will tell you, let the purge happen, Virgo rising. Let the purge happen. Whatever is meant to die in your life, whatever's been dying in your life, whatever you're being called to release or let go of, lean in, okay? Because it's creating space for new life. It's creating space for something new to come into your life, okay? Virgo rising. I love that for you guys. I think Virgos are going through things. They're feeling a little bit more passionate. They're feeling a little bit more inspired, but they're also kind of like challenging things that they're going through, okay? The South node's going through your rising. Mars is going through your rising, Virgo. The ruler of your rising, Mercury's in the 12th house. About to go retrograde. So you gotta wrap some stuff up. You gotta let some ish go. Okay. Stop trying to hold on to things. Stop trying to save things. Stop trying to preserve things that are just trying to like be released or cleared out of your life. Celebrate yourself. Surround yourself with people that bring you joy. Do the things that are fun, that are expansive. If you need a vacation, if you need to travel, go do that. Okay. Earth sign risings are having the best full moon. All right. I love this for you guys. I love Earth sign risings. Also, Earth sign risings, Capricorn, Cancer. Oh, I'm sorry, Capricorn, Taurus, Virgo rising. You need to lean into relationships more. You need to lean into relationships more. You need to lean into your friendships. You need to lean into your community. You need to lean into others. You need to lean into your spouse more. You need to let other people support you. Let other people help you out. Let other people give you opportunity. You know, ask for what you need. Ask for what you want. You know, like let relationships bring in the blessings. Let relationships bring in the opportunity. Let relationships bring in the money. Okay? Focus on that, right? Like if you're an earth sign rising and you want to be an entrepreneur, focus on your business, your ability to connect to people. Okay? Hone your social skills. Learn how to talk to people. Learn how to sell. Learn how to sell yourself. Learn how to sell to others. Okay? Work on your personality. Okay? Stop being so rigid. Stop being so boring. Okay? All right, be fun, be ambitious, be creative, like lean into your connections, lean into your relationships, become a better relationship builder, right? You guys know why I'm telling you this? Anybody, any earth sign rising know why I'm telling you this? Do you know why I'm telling you this? I'm gonna test you guys and see if you know why. There's a certain planet that's doing something in your guys' chart, and he's transiting your social houses. I'm gonna let you in on the tea right now. Jupiter. Jupiter is transiting your 3rd, your 7th, or your 11th house. If you are an earth sign rising. And Jupiter is saying those are the social houses, those are the communication houses, those are the houses of learning, those are the houses of relationship building, those are the houses of interacting with others. So Jupiter is trying to bring something new in through those houses. Your third, your seventh, or your ninth, or your third, your seventh, or your 11th. Okay. That's why I'm telling you. All right. All right. Chiron and Mercury and Libra in the night. Yeah, you work on it, my love. All right. So I think air sign risings, okay? Let me go. Hold on. What am I doing? What am I doing? Hold on. Air sign risings, I believe, are having a little bit of a challenge. I think this full moon is a little challenging for air sign risings. What is going on here? Oh, there we go. Okay, got it. Okay. Because the full moon is happening in houses 12, 8, or 4. If you are a Gemini, Aquarius, or Libra rising. So if you're an air sign rising, get rest during this full moon. Release what it is, whatever it is you need to release or let go of, right? Honor it. Okay. This may be a time of kind of like you're feeling like the need to go inward. You're feeling the need to transform or change something. You're realizing something in your life is no longer working and you need to make a dramatic pivot. Okay. You're realizing something needs to change or transform around your home, your living situation. Okay. You're realizing, like, wait a minute, this ish, the way I've been living, what I've been doing, how I've been feeling, how I've been thinking, like, this is not working for me anymore. And I need to make a dramatic shift or dramatic change. But before I do that, I need to plan. I need to rest. I need to like withdraw. I need to like put up boundaries. I need to like say no. I need to like move away from something or push something away from me so I can get that clarity, so I can get that motivation, so I can regain my energy and kind of be prepared to be ready for Leo season. Because Leo season is definitely your guys' energy, is more your vibe. Okay. Um, the water signs for you guys, the seasons of Pisces, Scorpio, and Cancer are your 2nd, 6th, and your 10th, which are fine. These are okay houses, but these are houses that are not as they're not like the best houses. They're The 6th house is a struggle house. The 2nd house is kind of neutral. The 10th house is great, but it's a Saturn ruled house, right? It's connected to Saturn. So yeah. All right. So if you're an Aquarius rising, let me start with Aquarius, and then I'm gonna go through all the signs, okay? Um, if you're an Aquarius rising, you are having a 12th house full moon, and you have the sun in your 6th, and you have Mars in your 8th, and you have Venus, Uranus in the 5th. So this is like, let me just go ahead and party. Let me go ahead and avoid all my problems by just going outside and partying and having fun and indulging and all this, right? But no, Aquarius rising, you need to work on your spirituality, you need to work on your faith, you need to get some rest, you need to release some unhealthy habits or behaviors. You really need to be intentional at this time. Also, there's a focus on relationships. Listen, Mercury's about to retrograde in your guys' 7th house, all right? So Aquarius rising, Saturn's about to retrograde, go back into Pisces in a second, and the ruler of your rising is Saturn, and he's about to retrograde and go back to your 2nd. He's about to go retrograde, and then you have Mercury about to go retrograde in your 7th. So there's definitely some things around relationships and partnerships, like some lessons that y'all need to be learning. Okay, we need to, if you're in a relationship or if you're not, you need to look out for things from the past resurfacing. Maybe there's conversations that need to be had and stuff like this, because that Mercury retrograde in the 7th that's coming up. Okay, you got 2 dates. I love this for you. Yeah, well, it makes sense. Aquariuses are kind of like, yeah, they're having fun, they're dating, they're like, yeah, because we have Venus, Uranus in your guys' 5th house. This is new lovers coming in. Okay, Aquarius rising has Gemini in the 5th house of lovers. And Gemini is things that come in twos. Okay. So one of the things you'll notice, Aquarius, right? And many times the other person won't know it, but I got 2 lovers and I ain't ashamed. 2 lovers and I love them both the same. Let me tell you about my first. lover. He treats me bad, makes me sad, makes me cry, and I don't know why, but I love him. I really, really love. That's Aquarius, okay? The sign of polyamory. She got 2 dates on the same day. Can you believe it? You leaving? You got to wrap up. Okay, you're dating. You're going on a date from 6 to 8 on one day, and then from 8 to 10, or on one. You're going on one date from 6 to 8 on the same day. Wait a minute, and then from 8 to 10, you're going on your second date. Crazy. Oh my goodness. What are we doing? Aquarius rising things. That's what we're doing. Aquarius things. Okay. We got Gemini in that 5th house. Aquarius? Oh my goodness. What are we doing? Oh my gosh. You guys are so funny. They both shot their shot. Yeah. Venus and Gemini. I love that for you. Venus, Uranus in the 5th house of love and romance for Aquarius. I love that for you guys. So play on, play up. Exactly. Mercury in the 7th, going on dates. Well, we'll see. But just one of the things I want to let you know, Aquarius, like Mercury's about to go retrograde in your 7th, so there's gonna be some things coming back from the past. But coming back to the full moon, this is about your 12th and your 6th house access. This is about your work. This is about your routines. This is about your day-to-day habits, your day-to-day behaviors, Aquarius. Okay, this full moon wants you to make some shifts and some change. There could be some things around work, pets, jobs, your career, your health that come up with this full moon in Capricorn. And this may be where you need to rest. You may need to you need quiet time. You need to sleep a little bit more. You need to, because Aquarius is one of those signs that deal with insomnia, because you guys have Capricorn in the 12th. So you guys have a Saturn rule 12. So Saturn does not let you sleep, There's no rest for the wicked, okay? All right, one of the wicked signs, Aquarius, okay? No rest for the wicked, okay? They're too busy doing evil. So make sure you get that beauty sleep, Aquarius. Okay, I love you guys. Bye. All right, Gemini. Gemini. You're having a full moon in your 6th house, Gemini rising. This is about work habits, routines, your pets. This is about your health, okay? There can be some shifts or some changes around your job. You may be dealing with issues, Gemini rising, around employees, around bosses. This can be about, your job or the company you work for being bought out. This can be you want to work independently. This can be you want to become a therapist. You want to become a dog walker. You want to do something different, okay? Because Saturn just went into Aries, right? And you're being inspired or motivated to kind of follow your dreams or follow your ambitions. I'm seeing the 6th house ruler going through the 11th house, which is like goals, dreams, ambitions, entrepreneurism, having your own business, doing something where you're making, or Gemini is one of those signs that works multiple jobs. Like they're one of those signs that is in during daytime, they have a food truck. At nighttime, they're bartending. And then in the middle of all that, they're finding time to write a book and do online content and have a coaching program or something like this. So, so Gemini is one of those signs that is you never want to pigeonhole yourself, Gemini, into just doing one thing. Because you're going to get bored, you're going to get restless, you're going to feel like you want to do something else at some point. So I feel like Gemini rising with the full moon in that 6th house, and the sun in your 2nd house. Am I tripping? Hold on. I'm tripping. My bad. I'm tripping. Let me actually move this. I gotta put the sign on the rising. Hold on. I'm tripping. You guys are not having a 6th house full moon. Hold on. You guys are having an 8th house full moon. My bad. Cancel, clear that. I was over here. I'm getting too ahead of myself. Let me put the sign on the rising. Okay, there we go. This makes sense. Okay, thank you. So cancel, clear all that. Okay. You are actually having an 8th house full moon. Okay. So this is about transformation and change. Yes, Gemini rising. Yes, Gemini rising. I'm sorry. I was looking at, I don't know. I didn't put the sign on the rising. I was just trying to eyeball it, but I was confusing myself. So you guys are having an 8th house full moon. So This is about transformation and change. This is about death and rebirth. Okay. This is about your money and your resources and your debts and your relationship with money and finances. I think Gemini, but still, right? We got the sun in the second house. So, like I was saying before, Gemini is one of those signs that should be making money or is able to make money in different ways. The eighth house ruler is going through the 11th house, though. So, this can be about servicing others in a different type of way or aligning with kind of like work or income that is more eighth house in nature in some type of way. I mean, Gemini, you guys do have Scorpio in the sixth, so I feel like Gemini is one of those signs that loves working in the occult or that wants to work intimately with others and things like this because of the Scorpio in the sixth house. But there's definitely some endings that we're dealing with, Gemini rising. Okay. We got the full moon in the eighth. All right. So there's transformation, change, endings. This is about death. This is about taxes. This is about rebirth. This is about debt. This is about getting a right relationship with your money, your finances. We love that Uranus and Venus are in the first for you guys. But this full moon in the eighth, being ruled by Saturn in the 11th. Also, this can be about purging when it comes to friendships or relationships. This can be about dramatic shifts and changes when it comes to your goals. Okay, Gemini rising, this full moon. I do think this is a little rough though. I think an eighth house full moon is about illuminating fears, illuminating limitations, illuminating your, ways that you overthink or ways that you're pessimistic or doubtful, Gemini rising. So I will encourage you to be more optimistic, be more faithful, embrace the transformation and change, allow things to be released or purged or let go of. You know, you guys are going to have a Mercury retrograde in the third. So I do think some of you are going back to school or educating yourself. Gemini rising is one of those like rising signs that is always learning something new, or they love to teach, or they love to share knowledge or wisdom, or they're working, in electronics and they're working in sales and they're working in publication. They're just doing a lot. They're very busy sign because they have that Leo in the third. So that Mercury retrograde in the third, there could be things around, siblings, education, aunts, uncles, neighbors, so your skill set, your communication, what you want to learn new ways of communicating, you want to work in new ways, get new types of jobs or something like that. Okay, with Gemini rising. But yeah, full moon in the eighth house, ruled by Saturn in the 11th. There's definitely some kind of transformation or change happening with goals, ambitions, and dreams. And there's definitely like we're trying to settle our debts. We're trying to get in right relationship with money and finances in some type of way. Okay, Gemini. All right. Let me do this the right way. I'm going to go ahead and actually put the sign on the rising because I do not want to make that mistake again. Go backwards. So Libra rising, Libra rising, Libra rising, Libra rising. Oh, dang, we've been here a long time. Let me make these a little bit faster. Libra rising. Let me go back. Full moon is happening in your... Did I skip it? Hold on. Nope, almost there. Full moon is happening in your fourth house of home and family and ancestry. I think of the air signs, I think Libra rising is having the best full moon. The fourth house is the best house between the fourth, eighth, 12th triad. The fourth house is the most positive because it is ruled by the moon, or it's connected to the moon. I don't say it's ruled by the moon. It's not ruled by the moon for everybody. And so this is about, there's big foundational shifts changing. Libra rising, full moon in the fourth, home, family, property, real estate. This could be about moving. This could be about relocating. Okay. There's also something about going deeper into commitments and partnerships. And some of y'all getting proposed to, getting married, but some of y'all going through a divorce or separation, possibly. Because of that Saturn now going into now Saturn's in the seventh, Libra. So this is, marrying an older man or older spouse, or going through a divorce or separation, or expecting like something shifting in your intimate one-on-one relationships with your timeline in some type of way. This is an important full moon. This is a very important time for Libra rising. Cardinal signs in general, but for Libra rising, it's a very important time. You have Jupiter transiting your 10th, you got Saturn in the 7th, right? You got that full moon happening between the 10th and the 4th. It's kind of like the foundations of your life are kind of, it's giving foundations of life shifting and changing. It's kind of giving, I want to move, I want to relocate, I want to get married, I want to go in a new direction with my career, I want to be more seen. I want to do something that I'm more like emotionally connected to. We have Mercury in the 11th. I actually think this is a pretty good full moon for you guys. But, full moons are always about releasing and letting things go. So maybe Libra rising, the full moon in the 4th is about letting go of the past, letting go of the expectations of your mother, of your father, of your family, letting go of those experiences that you dealt with in the past that are holding you back from building a new future or some type of way. Okay. So I think Libra rising, I would encourage you guys to really reflect on how tradition, how expectations of the family, how your traumas, how these deep emotional fears or unconscious, subconscious fears are holding you back from expansion, from growth, from commitment, from building something new, from, you know, launching yourself out, propelling yourself out into the world. You have the sun and Jupiter in the 10th right now, right? Mercury in the 11th. We got Venus in the 9th. It's like the top half of your chart is very much illuminated, right? But that full moon in the 4th is like, okay, well, there's something holding us back in that 4th house. There's something, some kind of burden, some kind of baggage, or something about the history. There's something about what we've gone through, that is holding us back from really allowing the 9th, 10th, and 11th houses to shine and grow. Okay. So I would just, yeah. All right. That's for you, Libra rising. Okay. All right. So, let's move on. Let's move on. We've already been here like 9, 10, 11. We've been here for like 2 hours already. So I gotta go get lunch. I have a life to live as well. Okay. So, all right, let's talk about water sign risings. Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces rising. Um, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces rising. All right. If you don't know your rising, just use your sun sign. Okay. This can also apply to your moon, but it'll be different for your moon. This can apply to your moon, but it'll be more about like family, your body, your health, relationships. Read this from your rising or your sun. Okay. So Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces rising, water sign risings. This full moon is happening in your social houses, your relationship houses, your community houses, the houses of intimacy, the houses of business, the houses of learning, the houses of your desires, your goals, your dreams, which are the 3rd, the 7th, and the 11th houses. Okay. So Scorpio rising, we have a full moon happening in your 3rd house. So that full moon in the 3rd could be illuminating things around your neighbors, around your siblings, around aunts, uncles, cousins, also around education, learning, skill sets. There could be something that needs to shift or change around the way that you communicate, around the way that you listen, the way that you express yourself. Scorpio rising with Saturn ruling your guys' 3rd. You guys could have been silent. A lot of Scorpio risings were silenced growing up. They weren't heard. They weren't listened to. They were bullied. They had a hard time in school. They doubt themselves intellectually, right? They don't think that they're smart enough. They had a really rough time in school when they were young. So they were like, oh, I don't know about college and things like that when they get older. So that full moon in that 3rd house can be trying to illuminate how you're holding yourself back in the 3rd house in some type of way. How you don't believe in your own intelligence, how you don't open up and communicate what you're really feeling or what you're really thinking, right? How you have inhibitions that you have to overcome, Scorpio rising, so that you can authentically align with the ways that you're meant to be communicating or the way that you're meant to express yourself. Okay. Um, we love the sun, Jupiter in the 9th house, though. I think this full moon is also about traveling and vacationing and kind of like, having fun and kind of like, getting, taking a little break from the mundaneness of your day-to-day lived experience. Scorpio rising, it's a beautiful full moon to go ahead and travel with and stuff like that. I also do think that Scorpio rising, you guys have Mercury retrograde in the 10th house. So this can be, or Mercury retrograde in the 10th. So this can be about changes with bosses and things like this, or with your rethinking career directions, or you want to put something new into practice, you want to try out something new, or there could be like new job jobs coming in or something. Saturn in the 6th, Mercury in the 10th from your guys' sign. But yeah, the North Node's in the 5th. So this is about fun. This is about creation. I will say though, Scorpio rising, maybe issues or problems with friendships or friendships that you're like, I don't know, you're not feeling like fulfilled by them, or you feel you're feeling taken advantage of, or there's moments of conflict with friendships. I'm just looking at Mars going through your guys' 11th, okay? And so you guys have you got to kind of hold your boundaries. You got to learn some lessons around open communication with friendships. And you got to, maybe this is about a purging or releasing of connections or relationships or friendships that are not really in alignment with the person that you're becoming, or they're just too needy, or they're just, they're causing some kind of deprivation or loss or lack, or they're just draining your energy in some type of way. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. Pisces rising. This is my rising sign. Let me go to Pisces. Pisces rising. Full moon in your 5th house. This is a wonderful, hold on. 11th house, my bad. Full moon in your 11th house. I was looking at the sun in the 5th. So this is a full moon for you. 11th house is your friendships, your communities. What's so interesting is like, I'm a Pisces rising and I have the full moon happening in my 11th, and I have a moon in Capricorn in my 11th, and I'm having a community gathering on Saturday here in Los Angeles for my peoples. It's been a long time coming, and it's so interesting because the astrology is reflecting the fact that I'm a full moon in my 11th house with my 11th house moon in Capricorn. I'm having a gathering of my online family, all these strangers, right, that know me, I know y'all, but it's like the 11th house thing. I guarantee there's going to be some strangers. There's going to be some people that I've never met before who are going to be in attendance, I'm sure, because it's an 11th house thing. 11th house is the house of strangers. It's the house of friendships. It's the house of your community. It's the house of, the social circles that you flow in, but also the groups that you participate in. Even if it's an online group and things like that, right? 11th house is also about your goals, your dreams, your desires, your ambitions, and how those manifest through social connection, right? It's a very karmic house, because it is influenced by Saturn, but to me, it's one of the most positive houses in the chart. So, and then we have the sun in the 5th house, which is fun, joy, celebration, your children, your creativity and stuff like that. So I think Pisces rising, this is a very fun, a very expansive, a very celebratory full moon for you guys. I think this is about maybe, but there's some lessons that you have to learn around friendship. So there's some lessons that you have to learn around maybe people that don't value you or don't appreciate you, because this full moon is being ruled by Saturn in the 2nd for Pisces rising. So there's something around like, maybe there's people that don't really value you, or maybe there's people that you feel like don't really honor or respect you, or maybe you just feel like there's friendships or connections that you have where people are, I don't know, maybe they're bossy, or maybe they're controlling, or maybe they are burdensome in some type of way, friendships, connections, relationships that are like burdensome and they're heavy and they deplete you or they drain you. I think this full moon wants to illuminate some of that. Pisces rising, the people that you do need to kind of release, or maybe not even letting them go, but maybe you just need boundaries in your relationships, better boundaries. I think that's one of the big things that Pisces and Virgo rising, by Pisces rising, Virgo rising, they struggle with boundaries in their relationships with others because they are immutable, right? These rising signs are immutable in nature. Immutability is not so, it has no relationship with Saturn, right? Cardinal signs, fixed signs, they have a relationship with Saturn. Mutable signs don't, because they're ruled by Jupiter and Mercury, the mutables, right? So they're not necessarily trying to uphold boundaries. They're trying to mix and mingle. That's what the mutable signs are trying to mix and mingle. But I think this full moon is trying to remind Pisces rising how important boundaries are in their relationships to make them sustainable for them. Okay. All right, let's move on. Cancer rising. My little Cancer babies. Oh, I love my Cancer risings. You guys, they're some of my favorite signs. That's my favorite rising sign. A lot of my besties are Cancer risings. I need to get out of here because like the mosquitoes are coming for me. Cancer rising, full moon in the 7th house of partnership, of business, of relationship, of your intimate one-on-ones. We got Sun and Jupiter in the rising. I think this is about new business partnerships, but I also think about this is about maybe clarifying where you stand with others. This could also be about new relationships coming in, but we got, Cancer rising, another cardinal sign, Saturn in your 10th, it's like, baby, you're trying to birth something new. Cancer rising is trying to birth new things. They're trying to birth a new relationship. They're trying to birth a new career direction. They're trying to birth a new partnership. They're trying to birth a new living situation. Something is trying to be born, a new flow of income, something. What are you trying to birth, Cancer rising? You tell me, okay? One of the things I think is a little rough about this full moon, I don't like the Venus in the 12th house for you guys. I don't like Venus in the 12th. I don't like that. I think that's a little hard, a little difficult. Pluto and Aquarius in the 8th. I think there could be certain things around relationships or partnerships where there's like you're ending things. You're realizing this is not going to work. I'm not going to give them any more of my time. This is unfair. They're gossiping about me. They don't like me. They're jealous. They're envious. Okay. So I will say, Cancer rising, all right, you got to know who to hold on to, who to invest in, and who to release and who to let go of, all right? And I think this full moon wants to teach you some of those lessons. I'm just looking at the 11th house ruler in the 12th. I'm looking at the full moon in the 7th. I'm looking at Saturn in the 10th. And to me, this is like, it's giving like, I don't know, it's giving like people that don't really believe in you, people that you can't really trust and stuff. So I think there's rough lessons, I think, that the water signs have to learn about relationships in general, water sign risings with this full moon. But for Cancer, it's about intimate one-on-one relationships. It's about the give and take in their intimate one-on-one relationships, right? I think this is more prominent or more important for people that are married, okay? That full moon in the 7th house may not be as important if you're single. This may be more about you and what you need to change or how you're evolving or how you're changing, Cancer rising, because we do have the Sun and Jupiter in the rising sign or in the rising, right? So there's definitely a focus on what you need, what you want, what's best for you, your personality, your career, your goals, your ambitions, and that the full moon in the 7th may show you like, wait a minute, these people that you're connecting to are not reliable. They're not dependable. They're not supporting you. They're not pouring into you. They're not giving you good advice or good guidance or something like that. Okay, with that full moon in the 7th. Okay. Yeah, and also I think this is for water signs in general. You guys need to like be your own authority. I really do feel like Saturn and Aries wants water sign risings to be their own authority in some type of way, or to become their own personal authority, or to like not be so wishy-washy, not be so dependent on others. I do think there's an invitation to be a little bit more self-reliant and a little bit more, you know, you got to be a little bit more selfish. I think water sign risings, it's okay for you to be a little bit more selfish right now in order for you to achieve what it is that you got to achieve and get to where you need to go. Okay. That's just like a little secondary message that I got. All right. Who's the last rising signs that we got to do? Fire signs. It's our Leo rising because they're the closest to Cancer. Your money houses. Leo, Aries, Sag rising. You're having a full moon in houses 2, 6, 10. This is about money. This is about finances. This is about resources. This is about how you create wealth. This is about your savings. This is about your day-to-day health, your habits, your routines. This is about your career direction. This is about your sense of authority, your sense of power, how you show up in the world, your public reputation, your public image. What are you doing? Where are you going? How are you creating value in the world? How are you giving things out into the world, or being an inspiration to people in the world, or how are you guiding and leading people out in the world so that you can actually sustain yourself, so that you can make money, right? Are you connected to your ambitions? Are you connected to your goals? Are you in the right relationship with your resources, with the material world, right? Are you overspending? Are you not spending enough? Are you penny pitching? Like, these are all things that are going to be illuminated with the full moon in Capricorn, okay? For fire sign risings, Leo, Aries, and Sagittarius rising, all right? So Leo rising, you're having a full moon in your 6th house. This is the house of jobs, health, routine, work, and pets. You have the sun transiting the 12th. Leo rising, I think this full moon is trying to align you with habits, routines, jobs, and things like this, or even health, like your health stuff. Maybe it's illuminating health challenges or ways that you just need to take better care of yourself. I think this full moon is going to be maybe a little busy for you guys, Leo rising. You may feel very active, very inspired, very motivated, but there's also, I don't know, I'm just looking at the South Node in Mars in the 2nd. I'm looking at the full moon in the 6th. And the sun and Jupiter in the 12th. I don't know. It's kind of giving like we're having to like shed and take some losses in some type of way. I feel like we're having money problems or money issues. Maybe Leo rising. Or maybe like we're having issues with like our job and our self-care and like our day-to-day. Like things are not feeling so fun and inspiring and things are not feeling so fun and inspiring right now, Leo rising. I think you guys got to put in the work. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I think Leo rising is a rising sign that needs to work hard with this full moon. I think it's a balance between rest and work, obviously, because you guys have the sun in the 12th. But I also feel like in order to get what you want, you got to kind of work a little bit harder right now. Leo rising. You got to do a little bit more. You got to put in some more work. So I think you got to be more organized, more structured, more routine, more disciplined, Leo, in order to get the good outcomes. Okay. Um, Venus in the 11th, Saturn in the 9th, though. So I do feel, though, there's some kind of blessings coming from unexpected directions, maybe. For Leo rising soon, maybe not with this full moon, but soon. Okay. But yeah, that 6th house, 12th house axis is very difficult. It's very hard. This can be about illness or sickness, or this can be about you just, you're feeling burnt out. You need to rest and things like this. Or maybe this is about letting go of a job, or something like that, Leo rising. Okay. So, but yeah, full moon in the 6th house, that's a little bit of a rough one. The 6th house is kind of like karmic. So it can be a little difficult, it can be a little hard. But if you're feeling that energy, then just make sure you're giving yourself space and time to like rest, especially if you're feeling anxious and nervous and things like that, Leo rising. Okay. All right. What's the next sign that we're going to do? Should I go backwards? Let me see. Yeah, let me go backwards. We're going to do Aries. Let me go back. Aries rising. Full moon in Capricorn in your 10th house of career, goals, ambitions, public image, public reputation, new career directions. Listen, Linda. Okay. Aries rising. All right. Mercury in the 5th, full moon in the 10th, sun, Jupiter in the 4th. If there's a time for you guys to get into property and real estate, Aries rising, it's now. Okay. Or if there's a time for you to like move or relocate, I think you guys should be thinking about that. Okay. Maybe even if you want to wait until like October, November, I think you guys should be thinking about moving or relocating. I think Aries rising and another cardinal sign, like this is about big dramatic shifts and changes in your life. Like it's like there needs to be some foundational changes in your life to bring about more success and stuff like that. And you may just need to get your ducks in order. You may need to get things in order. You may need to plan a little bit in order to get the best outcome for the changes that are happening, that will continue to happen. Okay. I think Aries rising is one of those signs that they need to develop a better relationship with Saturn because they are very impatient and they get bored and they don't see things to completion or see things through. And I think this full moon in Capricorn in the 10th house is kind of like stay dedicated, stay committed to the plan, stay committed to the vision, keep putting into the work or keep putting in the work. Be patient. Okay, Aries, it's going to take time for you to reap the rewards. It's going to take time for you to get what it is that you deserve and stuff, right? So just keep putting in the work and stuff like that. We do have the South Node in Mars in the 6th. So I do feel like there's conflicts or challenges at work in some type of way or with health habits, routines. But I think these are things that are surmountable. These are things that you guys can easily overcome, Aries rising. And I think the full moon in the 10th is illuminating things around your goals, your direction, like how you show up in the world, how you shine. If you have any fears that are holding you back from expressing yourself, from fulfilling that 10th house legacy, if you are, very confused, you're not sure, maybe you need to sit with yourself. Maybe you need to take a break. Maybe you need some alone time. Maybe you need, to actually interact and talk to people to really get to the root of your desires and get to the root of what it is that you want or what it is that you're seeking. Okay. But this is a very this period is very intense, very prominent for Aries rising. There's a lot shifting and a lot changing. Okay. Um, and I love it for you guys. I think it's great. I think Aries rising is one of those signs that has been dealing with a lot, or one of those rising signs has been dealing with a lot the last few years. And I feel like with the planetary shifts, with Saturn going to Aries and Jupiter going to Cancer, this is like the new life, the reinvigorating energy, the stimulation that Aries rising kind of needs to kind of create significant changes or pivots in their life. And I think this full moon is kind of opening up a portal to that, okay, in some type of way. All right. So last but not least, let's go ahead and do Sag rising for the full moon. I'm going in the wrong direction. Hold on. Oh, I'm also gonna do later on today. I'm gonna do a Labubu unboxing. I got some Labubus. My dad wants one. He's like, "Give me a Labubu." I'm like, "Dad, go get your own Labubu." Okay. My dad wants a Labubu. It's so funny. All right. Full moon, Sag rising, full moon in the second house of money, finances, the things that you own, the things that you value, your value system. Also the second house is connected to self-worth, self-confidence, self-esteem. And so I think Sag rising, this full moon in the second is asking you to release or let go of the ways that you doubt yourself, or the ways that you don't believe in yourself, or the ways that you kind of accept, treatment from others where they're not really valuing you or appreciating you, or you kind of more reinforcing this desire and this need to establish worth or value in your life, or to show up for yourself and really like declare your worth and declare your value. This can be when it comes to the work field, this can be in your relationships, this can be in your intimate one-on-one connections, this can be with how much you charge for your services, things like this. I think there's definitely some kind of evolution or transformation or change that needs to happen, Sag rising, in the way that you're going, and the way that you're attracting wealth, navigating wealth, or navigating your relationship with money in some type of way. I think Sag rising is one of those rising signs that can struggle from a lack mentality, or from a like there's never enough, there's never gonna be enough, I'm not enough, nobody loves me. No, not that, but it's like I'm not enough. Like there's never gonna be enough money, I don't get paid enough. There's definitely this energy of like deprivation and lack that Sag rising struggles with, that many people usually aren't aware of, because they're really good at hiding it, or they're really good at pretending. They're really good at just, keeping things very lighthearted and very fun, so that they don't really let people into that second house, or people don't really see their second house, right? They're really good at covering up and showing face, right? um where actually they can be very insecure, and they can have a lot of fears around stability and structure, and around money and finances, because of the Capricorn in the second. So I think the full moon in the second is trying to illuminate the ways that you guys maybe are afraid of money, or you're afraid of your own potential, or you're afraid of your own, of maybe leaving something behind so that you can make a little bit more money. Maybe you do need to leave a job behind. Maybe you do need to, Saturn going into that fifth. Maybe you do need an entrepreneurial venture, or you need to start your own business so that you can make more money, right? So that a bit like a job isn't determining your worth or determining your value by saying, okay, this is how much you get paid an hour, so this is how much you're worth, right? So yeah, there's definitely something that second house, eighth house access, there's definitely some kind of transformation or change that Sag rising is going through. It's around money, finances, it's around the relationship with money, it's around maybe like fears, letting go of certain family things. Maybe there's codependent stuff. I don't think of Sag rising as a codependent sign at all. I don't, but I also am seeing the moon in the second and the sun in the eighth with Jupiter there. And I'm seeing Venus, Uranus in the seventh. And there's definitely something about relationships and partnerships and like how money flows in relationships, or like, you know, that space in between. Like, what am I doing for you? What are you doing for me? There's something there that's being illuminated for Sag rising with this full moon. And I think there's something that needs to be taken a look at. Okay. Sag rising, also, Saturn is telling you this is not a time for fun. I don't think this is a time for fun for fire sign risings. I don't. I think this is a time where you got to dig in. You got to really apply yourself. You got to be more structured. You got to be more disciplined. You got to put in the work. If you really want to reap the rewards that are available to you, that I'm kind of getting as a download from spirit, from the divine with this current astrology, fire signs, you got to dedicate yourself to something. You need a plan. You need structure. You need a goal. You need some goals, okay? Because I feel like if you're not working or striving towards something, you just kind of like expecting things just to work out, or you're not being like intentional with your direction, you're not going to really get what you're capable of getting. You know, I feel like the planets are not going to really give you what you deserve, or Saturn's not going to give you what you're owed in some type of way, or is not going to, you know, help you or support you, or is going to be more of a, he's going to challenge you in ways that are more difficult, more hard. Okay. So I definitely feel like this full moon is encouraging you guys, earth signs in general, or sorry, fire sign risings, to kind of get their ish together a little bit. You got to get your ish together. You got to kind of apply yourself a little bit, work a little bit hard. Okay. All right. Okay. I think that's it. I think that brings us to the end of this live. Um, did you guys enjoy this? I know, you know, I had some time today, so I'm still on my vacation. So, oh, the air conditioner just started. Oof. I'm gonna go ahead and get some lunch because we've been here for like almost 3 hours. We had a lot to talk about the full moon. Are you guys still here with me? Who's still here? Give me a I'm still here in the chat. Give me a like, give me a heart. I'm not seeing anything happen in the chat, so I'm not sure if it just like stopped working, or if you guys are saying something and it's not working. It's probably what's going on here. Yeah, I think the chat malfunctioned in some type of way. Mercury retrograde things. But let's see here. But yeah, I love you all so much. Oh, we got Libra on the rising. Oh wow. The rising just went to Libra. Yeah, the chat's not working anymore. I can't read anything that you guys are writing. So did that just happen? That just happened? Oh wow, it did. The rising just went into Libra. Perfect time for me to make my exit. All right. I love you guys so much. This will be posted to YouTube within a few hours. And thank you guys for being here. Happy full moon in Capricorn. I'm really excited. If you are in the LA area and you know you are able to meet up on Saturday, please come. Oh my God, it's gonna be so fun. I'm really excited to meet so many of you. I'm also gonna come back later on today and do a Labubu unboxing. Why not? Why not? You know, it's not in any way, shape, or form content related to my content, but who cares? I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyways. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I got a few Labubus that we're gonna be unboxing. So you guys can participate and you know be a part of that. So I love you all so much. Have a beautiful, blessed day. I'll see you guys around. Also, there's gonna be a part 1 and a part 2 of the full moon and Capricorn live because the live did get messed up. Someone called me in the middle of my live, and so I had to restart it. So there will be a part 1 and a part 2. Okay, so that's gonna be on Instagram, but on YouTube, there's only gonna be one long, very long video. Okay. I love you all so much. Have a beautiful day. Happy full moon. I'll see you around. Bye.